Chapter 563. Yeer's eyes reddened as she spoke. She lowered her head and continued to poke the glutinous rice cake. You drank and I kept asking you how you were. I was afraid that you would be upset, so I kept talking to you. In the end you treated me like this. You threw me away just because you were unhappy. I'm not a stray cat. I have a marriage certificate. Yeer's voice became softer and softer, like a mosquito. At this time she was not pretending to be pitiful. She really felt that she was quite pitiful. The more she was like this, the more unwilling she was to raise her head and let Jiang Zhao look into her eyes. When she was pretending, she could not wait for him to see her misery. Now she was afraid that he would think that she was in a sorry state. A stainless steel plate wrapped in a food bag was pushed in front of her. The pork ribs are not bad. Have some. It's a pity to throw away the things you bought. Let me eat the glutinous rice cake. The man's voice was surprisingly gentle. Yeer's nose twitched. She raised her head and happened to see her husband's handsome eyebrows and starry eyes. When he smiled, his eyes were filled with gentle moonlight. He did not apologize to her, nor did he say sorry. However, his actions had already said everything. Oh, I'm afraid you'll gain weight. It's better not to eat it. I'll buy you millet porridge later. It's lighter. The man dragged the stainless steel plate back and turned to the boss. Bill? Jiang Zhao. You bastard. Yeer felt that her nose was sore for nothing. It was really for nothing. It was not worth it at all. Yeer's scolding was reasonable because the man had just told her that it was shameful to waste a single cent. However, he threw the unfinished barbecue into the trash can beside him. He would not let her eat it even if he threw it into the trash can. This bastard. Yeer kept sulking with Jiang Zhao. It was already late at night, especially in winter. There were fewer and fewer people outside. There were not many people. The traffic police had also gotten off work at this time. Jiang Zhao's smell of alcohol dissipated, so he drove himself and let Yeer sit beside him. Yeer was angry. She sat in the back and did not sit in the same row as Jiang Zhao. The car stopped at the Sheraton Hotel. Jiang Zhao got out of the car, opened Yeer's door and pulled her out. As soon as they entered the hotel, Yeer lowered his head. This was the place where she had taken off his clothes and taken photos of him. Jiang Zhao took the room card and held Yeer's hand as they walked towards the elevator. Tonight, we'll stay in the room where we had sex last time. Yeer had been sulking at first, but now he did not dare to be angry anymore. He laughed dryly and said, You're so vengeful. Ah, not only that. I am the type to seek revenge for the smallest grievance. The elevator door opened with a ding sound. Jiang Zhao pulled Yeer into the elevator and pressed 17 again. Yeer frowned. The 17th floor of the Sheraton Hotel was not a guest room. At that time, in order to follow him, she had investigated the hotel he was staying at. The elevator door opened again, and when they came out they found that they were in the F&B department. Yeer was very satisfied as he ate the Cantonese supper in front of him. Yeer immediately put aside their previous grudges and expressed goodwill to Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao could only sigh and shake his head. There was nothing he could do about her. Her little face was like the weather in March, changing at will. Wind came and rain came, and then after a while it would be fine and sunny again. There was no pattern to it at all. He took a tissue and wiped the sauce on the corner of her mouth. Eat slowly. Why are you always like this? You should eat properly. When he spoke, he did not sound like he was reprimanding her at all. Instead, it sounded like he was indulging her. Yeer picked up a piece of soft pork rib and threw it into her mouth. She quickly separated the meat from the bone and spat out the bone on the side plate in front of her. She wrinkled her nose and said, I'm so hungry. You kept eating, but I didn't eat at all. At that moment, a man appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. He was wearing a large brimmed hat that covered most of his face. He held a camera in his hand and pointed it at the seemingly loving couple. He quickly pressed the button to take photos. 1 photo, 2 photos, 3 photos. Asterisk. Qin Fian had been eyeing this plot of land for a long time. Even though he had given up on the competition due to the official report from the relevant department, it did not mean that he did not care about this plot of land. Even if he did not care, the shareholders would care about it. When he saw that the most successful bidder was Shi Empire's shares, Qin Fian sat in his office chair and did not speak for a long time. It was already past midnight. Ever since his secretary delivered this document to him, he had not cracked a joke. The secretary also did not dare call him handsome anymore. The glasses that perched on his nose had been tossed onto the table. The coldness that shone out from his beautiful phoenix eyes was rather eerie. The Shi family was interested in building a coating factory? That kind of business was not profitable, and the workers would be punished for doing toxic work. Did the Shi family look like someone who would do such a low-end business? The Shi family really had run out of ways to make money. They needed to build a factory and make a profit of a few million a year or even less. A few million? This joke was not funny at all. The price of this piece of land was now like a cabbage. A cabbage, and a rotten cabbage at that. Buying a rotten cabbage at a time when land prices were as high as gold. The reason Qin Fian could not bring himself to laugh was because he felt like he had been tricked. The years he had been in business had been too smooth. The Qin family's influence in Sea City was too big. Furthermore, he had his uncle and cousin, and he was a careful and courageous person. It was rare for him to suffer such a loss. Not only had he been made a fool of, but he had also been made a fool of. It was not surprising that the Shi family did not know about his involvement in the plot of land acquisition. However, if the Shi family really did bribe the experts in related departments to falsify the geological report, what did that mean? The Shi family's influence was no longer limited to the business world. It had only been 2 years in Sea City, but their influence had already reached into the business world. This was a dangerous signal. Qin Fian reminded himself that he had to stay calm and not jump to conclusions. He propped himself up on the table and pressed the line of his secretary, who was also working overtime with him. "Beauty, come in for a moment." After a while, the secretary walked in. She stood in place and twisted her waist seductively. "Handsome, what can I do for you?" He put on his glasses with a smile. The image of a handsome and refined man came alive. "Beauty, you were the one who brought me the newspaper about the water quality of the plot of land 326. Have you verified its authenticity?" "I thought." The secretary could not move her waist anymore, and she could not smile anymore. When the boss spoke with a cold smile, it meant that the problem was very serious. I thought that the information released by the authoritative department was trustworthy." "Trustworthy?" Qin Fian sighed. "Forget it, it's pointless to talk about this now. There won't be a next time." Seeing the secretary nod hurriedly, Qin Fian added, "Now go and verify the Shi family's connections. Do not leak this information." Drank a mouthful of soup and couldn't eat any more. Jiang Zhao said that she shouldn't eat supper, but it was useless. Persisted until she couldn't eat any more. Only then did she say, "I'm so full. I'm not eating anymore." Jiang Zhao called the waiter over to pay the bill. After the bill was paid, Jiang Zhao stood up. Ye walked up to him and held his arm. Jiang Zhao whispered into her ear, "You're so full. You'll need to digest it later." The man in the hat at the entrance put the card machine into his pocket and turned to leave. Ye was pressed down on the bed by Jiang Zhao. She placed her hands on his shoulders. "I'm so full, hubby. I'm so full. I can't do strenuous exercise after a meal. It's okay, I'll move, you won't? I didn't eat just now." Ye really felt like she was too full to exercise. "You should wake up after a nap." Jiang Zhao slowly pulled Ye's clothes. He pulled them open and tossed them off the bed one by one. "Little fox, tell me, how did you take off my clothes?" Ye felt like there was nothing to hide now. Yes. "Jingling and I did it together. You were too heavy. I did it alone." Ye looked at Jiang Zhao's face that was getting more and more tense. She closed her eyes and said in one breath, "I couldn't take it off alone. You were sleeping too soundly." He was not sleeping soundly, he was probably drugged too hard. "Did Jingling touch me too?" Jiang Zhao frowned. He had actually been touched by 2 women at the same time. He was not meat placed in a stall in the market. "I didn't touch you. I just accidentally touched you." "Accidentally?" "Yes. For example, when I was unbuttoning my shirt, or when I was taking off my sleeves with one hand, or when I was trying to pose for you. I was careless." Ye smiled embarrassedly, trying to avoid Jiang Zhao's eyes. "Then what does it mean when you're careless?" The man's voice was slow. "When you're taking photos, she won't touch you. Do I need you to teach me? If she can reach out and touch me when I'm taking photos, she'll be awesome." Jiang Zhao thought about those photos and his eyes flashed. Then he sighed. "Yunyi, to make up for the hurt you caused to my heart." Now that he thought about it, wasn't it hurt? She had stripped him naked at that time, so why couldn't she have any other thoughts? How could she just take a photo and leave? She even helped him put on his clothes before leaving. How embarrassing was that for him? She should look at him, his body, and then fantasize about him, wait for him to slowly wake up, and then, in any case, it wasn't the first time she was so pure. She was always looking down on his charm. When Ye heard this, he knew it was over. There was no good outcome if the past was brought up again. Forcing her? She was just short of succeeding in forcing her to do so. However, when such a matter was brought up, it was not pleasant. Who would be willing to be plotted against? Moreover, it was a man like him. Stuttered as she asked, How can you make it up to me? Wanted to move away. She was really uncomfortable being pressed down. Hey, let's recreate the scene. Yer's eyes lit up. He looked at the face in front of him with a lewd smile. Bastard. What did he say? Recreate the scene? It's so late, the woman objected. It's a holiday tomorrow. Sijia has his father with him. We've already called him a few times. Don't worry, we can sleep in tomorrow, the man insisted. Yer found many excuses, but they were all rejected. I'm very full now. I really don't want to move. I'll let you move if you're full. Digest it. I'm so sleepy now. I want to sleep. But I'm not sleepy now. Husband and wife have to advance and retreat together. You can't leave me alone to dream. This sentence moved Yer. Hence, under the man's almost pure guidance, Yer began to recreate the scene. She opened the room card and entered the room sneakily. Then, she stood by the bed and bent down to take off the clothes of the man who was pretending to be a dead pig. She complained a little, Hubby, even if the scene is recreated, you don't have to be so heavy. After all, I'm alone now. Jingling helped me at that time. Awesome novel. Songshu 566. Chapter 564. Jiang Zhao cooperated and shifted his back. He lifted it slightly and lay flat again. Yer was discouraged. How can you be like this? Jiang Zhao closed his eyes innocently and said, Wasn't I drugged? How can I move when I'm drugged? You're so childish. Yer wanted to raise a fist as big as a sandbag and punch him. Childish? Who was the childish one to play like this? She looked at her own fist. It was a far cry from a sandbag, so she gave up on the idea of using violence. As he was taking off his clothes, Jiang Zhao narrowed his eyes and looked at Yer. What did you say at the time? You had to put it in the scene. Yer sneered in her heart. Did she look as stupid as Xia Qian? Why would she find herself such a job? We didn't say anything at the time. Jiang Zhao opened his eyes, but he was still lying on the bed with his clothes on. There was a rare childishness in his eyes. You didn't say anything? That's impossible. You're too irresponsible. You're still trying to lie to me at a time like this. Can't you satisfy my curiosity? Let me tell you, Yer, you haven't told me clearly about the washing, cutting, and blow-drying. *CK. Yer glared at Jiang Zhao. Who said that women were the most troublesome? Who said that? Who said that? Just drag him out and chop him up. Succumbing to Jiang Zhao's threats and promises, Yer only remembered afterward that she wasn't much better than Xia Qian. After all, Jiang Zhao was unconscious at that time. Even if she made up stories, he wouldn't know. The most stupid person in the world was Xia Qian. She was the second most stupid person. If she claimed to be the third most stupid person, no one would dare to claim to be the second most stupid person. Hence, even though she was the second most stupid person, she had one more stupid person than Xia Qian. She was so stupid. As she unbuttoned her shirt, she started to focus on the couple scene. After unbuttoning the first button, she said in detail, Ling Ling, help me. My hands are shaking. I can't undo it. She imagined that Zheng Ling would pull her away the moment he came up to her. She lowered her voice slightly and pretended to be Zheng Ling. Go away. Look at you. Handsome man. Don't you know what handsome man is? You're so slow in taking off a handsome man's clothes, what a good-for-nothing. At the time, Yer heard Zheng Ling's provocation and quickly chased Zheng Ling away. He said stubbornly, Okay, I'll do it. He's almost 30 years old and you're calling him a handsome man? What kind of taste do you have? Zheng Ling fiddled with the camera and began to press the shutter at the side. After pressing a picture, he looked at the display screen and adjusted the parameters according to the light source in the room. Men have 31 flowers. Don't you know? Yer undid all the buckles for Jiang Zhao and called for Zheng Ling. Come and help me remove it. It's too heavy. It's as heavy as a pig. Zheng Ling put the camera at the end of the bed and worked with Yer, who had already climbed onto the bed to push Jiang Zhao, to take off his shirt. Pig. Have you ever seen such a strong pig? Is a pig's meat so tight? Is a pig so handsome? Handsome? He's just an old man. What's so handsome about him? Jiang Zhao took off his shirt and left his pants on. Anyway, he could use this angle to shoot, so he wasn't afraid. Yer took off his clothes and threw them on the floor one by one. He crossed his arms over his chest and trembled a little. He didn't dare to stick close to Jiang Zhao's body. Zheng Ling reprimanded, Yer, cooperate a little. Aren't I being quite cooperative? Cooperative my ass. Have you ever seen a woman cover her chest with her hands while rolling around in bed? Be more invested. You have to think about how to sleep with such a handsome man under your body. Besides, he's such a big shot. If you sleep with him, you'll have profited. I did want to sleep with him, but it's a pity that I drugged him with the wrong drug. I shouldn't have drugged him with hallucinogens. I should have drugged him with a stronger aphrodisiac. Since it's a knockout drug, then do everything you can to knock him out. Don't show any mercy. If I was the one drugged today, the possibility of a drugged rape case would be much higher. Even if I wanted to drug him now, he's lying there like this. I don't have the tools to do it. After saying that, Yi tugged at his and Jiang Zhao's pants and smiled helplessly. Yi had not finished reenacting the scene, but Jiang Zhao's eyes were closed. He was already upset. She actually said that she couldn't bring herself to call him a handsome man. He called him a handsome man, and she even despised him for having no taste? Not to mention that she even said that he looked like a pig. She even said that he was handsome my ass. She actually said that he was an old man. He was so angry. But when she simulated the scene where she took off her clothes and pressed herself against his body, and even posed in all kinds of ecstasy positions, his anger disappeared and his desire was ignited. If he didn't ignite it this time, he really wouldn't be a man. Who could stand such a nosebleed scene? The woman on top of him was half naked and pressed against him. Her hair was loose, and with every movement, her hair swept over his body. It swept over him like a flint rubbing against his body. It was so uncomfortable. When her soft chest pressed against him, it was even more uncomfortable. Yi's reenactment reached the point where he was pooping his pants. There was no way to continue the simulation because in the past, he was drugged and didn't have the tools to do it. Now, he had the tools ready, valiant and spirited, ready to be rescued by her from his pants at any time. When he was flipped over, his head was dizzy. Honey, what kind of man isn't an old man? As he asked, he removed the pants that Yi was still wearing. At this time, Yi finally got rid of his mind. His mind was clear. He was too crazy just now, and it was too late to save himself now. Hubby, this kind of man isn't an old man. Is that so? Then who's the one who looks like a pig? After removing Yi's pants, he started to remove his own pants. No, isn't Zhu Beiji the brilliant pig the trend now? You don't know that in the hearts of all the women in the country, men like Zhu Beiji are no longer popular. Tang Sanzang is even less popular. That's true. Otherwise, why would you think of doing something as interesting as drugging me with an aphrodisiac? When the man barged in, Yi wasn't fully prepared because he had been carefully thinking of how to avoid punishment. Jiang Zhao went through a lot of trouble and explained to Yi, who asked you not to drug me this time but to drug me with an aphrodisiac? When Xia Qian woke up, the sky was already bright. She rubbed her eyes and sat up. Her entire back and neck were extremely uncomfortable. She stretched, yawned and twisted her neck vigorously. As expected, you're not a lady. Shin Kai looked at the rearview mirror and said with disdain. Xia Qian didn't grow up in a rich family. In her opinion, she didn't need to care about other people's comfort. She could stretch without caring about her image as soon as she woke up. If she was on a big and soft bed, she would have to kick her legs to feel comfortable. She could yawn with her mouth wide open, and she could twist her neck around as if she wanted to fight with someone one-on-one. However, these actions were not something the daughters of wealthy families would do. They were reserved and knew etiquette. Even when they yawned, the sound was very soft. They gently opened their mouths, covered their mouths with their small hands, and let out a soft "heh." Even if they stretched, they would not make it seem like they were going to war. But Shin Kai didn't take those rules seriously since he was young. He was attracted to gangsters and wanted to be free and unrestrained. Perhaps it was because his friends were more loyal and had strong habits in the underworld, so he liked a woman like Ouyang Yen. He felt that she was not bad, completely different from his group of friends. At this moment, Xia Qian was like a very silly girl in his eyes. You're a lady. I'm not stopping you. Xia Qian looked out of the window. Lingshan? Have the ghosts all dispersed? Shin Kai smiled. Yes, you're too heavy. I couldn't drag you out of the car when you fell asleep last night. You can get out of the car now. I'm driving back. What did you say? You're leaving me alone on the mountain? What about tonight? When Shin Kai smiled, the corners of his mouth were slanted, and he didn't hide his naughtiness. Then beg me. If you beg me, I'll take you down the mountain. I beg you. Xia Qian leaned her upper body in the front seat and leaned her face in front of Shin Kai. Shin Kai felt bored. He thought that she was a girl with a strong personality. It was not challenging at all. He started the car. Xia Qian was sent back to school. She tried hard to remember if she had communicated with ghosts last night. She couldn't remember and went back to sleep. The weekend was supposed to be very relaxing, but Shin Kai didn't. He returned to the procuratorate and called Ouyang Yin to ask her to go back to work in the institute. Ouyang Yin arrived at the office very quickly. Her work attitude had always been highly evaluated in the institute. Shin Kai knew that Ouyang Yin was an ambitious woman. She was very career-oriented. When she did something, she wanted to make some achievements in that field. For example, when she was studying, she wanted to be the best among everyone. When she was working, she wanted to be the best in everything. Ouyang Yin also knew that Shin Kai was a man who separated work and personal matters very clearly. It was one thing that he liked to take advantage of her through words, but he could also take advantage of her while working. He was such a person. He had been like this since university. Other people were scoundrels, but he was a hooligan. Because scoundrels only knew how to deny, but hooligans knew how to be ruthless. After pouring a cup of tea for Ouyang Yin, Shin Kai raised his hand and made a pleased gesture. Ouyang Yin sat down opposite him, separated by a desk. This time he didn't take advantage of her. Shin Kai went straight to the point. "Inspector O, didn't I tell you about Yin Hongwei? Why are you still so stubborn?" Ouyang Yin tightened her grip on the cup, and the light in her beautiful eyes flickered. "What do you mean? That day at the Sea Moon restaurant, I thought I made it very clear to you. Several big things about Yin Hongwei are related to your family Ouyang. Is Jiang Zhao so good? You want to get in touch with the family Ouyang and also make Yun Yi and Jiang Zhao fall out? I don't understand what you're talking about." Ouyang Yin slammed the cup on the desk and stood up. "Shin Kai, you don't have to worry about my affairs. Ouyang Yin, you're too selfish." Shin Kai was undoubtedly disappointed. In his eyes, a woman like Ouyang Yin was synonymous with intelligence. How could she be unable to pick up and let go of emotional problems? Selfish? Ouyang Yin looked at Shin Kai. Others said that there were people who were both good and evil. This man was only serious when he was scolding people. Just like now, from the moment he opened the door, he started scolding people. When the last sentence came to a conclusion, he was still scolding people. This annoying man, I don't understand what you're talking about Yin Hongwei. You're really a nosy and annoying person. Come and see. Song Shu 566. Chapter 565. Shin Kai knew that Ouyang Yin would have a small temper, but these small tempers would not be vented in front of Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao liked women who were as gentle as water, and all the alumni of High University knew that. However, he, Shin Kai, had the ability to make Ouyang Yin so angry that her face turned red, her words were incoherent, and her words were vicious. This was what he was most proud of. How many people had seen Ouyang Yin get angry? He had seen it before. He smiled contemptuously. You don't understand. As a child of a wealthy family, you don't even know how to protect your own family. What do you know? You've lived 28 years in vain. Ouyang Yin sat down again. I'm looking for Yun Hongwei's loopholes, but it has nothing to do with our family Ouyang. I won't be so stupid as to put my family Ouyang in danger. Shin Kai threw the information that he had prepared in front of Ouyang Yin. Then what's with these things? Even the details of the loan from your uncle are written clearly. Ouyang Yin opened the portfolio that Shin Kai threw in front of her and took out a stack of A4 paper. The more she looked at it, the more her hands trembled. Her beautiful eyes were filled with panic and fear. How could this be? I really don't know. Ouyang Yin was not stupid. Even if she wanted to topple Yin Hongwei and make Yun Yi hate Jiang Zhao, it would be best for the two of them to go their separate ways. This was what she wanted, but not at the expense of anyone in the family Ouyang. No one would be stubborn enough to lose the entire family because of a man. It wasn't you? It wasn't me. Shin Kai. Ouyang Yan's shoulders trembled when she exhaled. Am I that brainless in your eyes? Then forget it. Fortunately, I found out about this matter and suppressed it first. You go back first. If you have nothing to do, don't cause trouble for the Yun family. It won't do you any good. Speaking of this, Ouyang Yin was a little depressed. What exactly does Jiang Zhao want? How long has Yun Hongwei been on medical parole for? If he continues to act so recklessly, sooner or later, Yun Yi will make him unable to turn over a new leaf. You can't figure out what he's thinking. He must have his own methods. His chess moves every day. Yun Hongwei should be fine by the beginning of spring. Impossible. Shin Kai felt that there was no need to tell Ouyang Yin some of the things he knew. It was meaningless to use these things to make the beauty smile. Alright, you go back first. I'll follow up on this matter. I don't even know if it was Yun Hongwei who offended someone, or if it was your family Ouyang who offended someone. Ouyang Yin left the procuratorate. The Yun family was indeed a scourge. She returned to the apartment in the north of the city. Nothing in the house had changed. She watered the flowers on the balcony every day. Her life had no beginning or end. A few years ago she didn't feel anything, but now she felt more and more lonely. She didn't know why she was rushing all day long. There wasn't even anyone to accompany her. He said he would wait for her. When she left, he said he would wait for her to come back. That was why she was so assured of him. She had always been assured of him. Others said that she was a lady. She was very gentle, but everyone also knew that she was the strongest. She didn't cry easily, but ever since she found out that he was going to get married, she loved to cry. Actually, she felt that he had changed the moment she came back. He didn't take the initiative to hug her or kiss her. He didn't fulfill his promise. If he really waited, when she came back, he should have carried her and called her Yun Yun, very intimately. He still called her Yun Yun, now, and his voice was very soft. It was just that there was no passion anymore. But her passion was still there. Yi was so annoyed by the phone that she wanted to hit her head. She had a terrible headache. Just as she moved, a pair of large hands pressed down on her waist. Then she was strangled and couldn't move. She struggled to open her eyes and realized that she was still lying on Jiang Zhao's body. She didn't get off at all. This immoral person had indeed slept in her body. He was still there now. He was dreaming with his eyes closed. He was shaking his butt in his dreams. Look at his despicable face. Later on, he insisted that it wasn't enough to reenact the scene. Since it was a knockout drug, then they should do it. Alright, this knockout, the sky was already bright. She wanted to answer the phone, but he refused. Jiang Zhao slept very comfortably. He felt that it was really comfortable. He felt like he was looking at the sea and wanted to swim. He was a little sleepy. He felt like he was at the beach in the middle of summer. The sun was scorching, but it made him feel very comfortable. He wanted to jump into the sea quickly, but he couldn't move. It was as if he was surrounded by something. So he wanted to move his body away, but the moment he moved, the sun seemed to be even brighter. He was dying of thirst. The sea was just a step away. He touched it a little. He moved forward a little and felt that he was closer to the sea. Closer again. It was a wonderful feeling. He felt like he was going to soak in the sea. He had to jump in. He had to jump in immediately. There was something in front of him blocking his path. He couldn't move forward, but he refused to let go of the obstacle. The moment the obstacle left him, he felt uncomfortable. He had to move forward tiredly to feel comfortable. He reached out and hugged it tightly. He had to hug this obstacle and jump into the sea together to swim. So no matter how many times the phone rang, Yi couldn't answer it. Jiang Zhao closed his eyes, turned over, and jumped into the sea. He pressed down on the obstacle he was hugging and started swimming happily. He had never felt so special in his life. Yi had been tortured to death by Jiang Zhao in her dreams. This bastard could actually eat her up in her dreams and even enjoy it so much. Jiang Zhao slowly woke up and realized that something was wrong. No wonder it felt so special. This swimming spot was indeed a little different. So he continued swimming until the end. Yi waited for Jiang Zhao to finish. She took a shower and then picked up the phone to call back. The woman who picked up the phone said in a familiar and gentle voice, "Yi, it's Mom." Yi didn't take the initiative to call Zhou. She was used to it. She also told herself that her mother was doing well and not to disturb her. If she did, she would say that she wanted Si Jie to accompany her. She was still young and could totally have another child with her current man. But her father would never remarry in this lifetime. She knew that. She had asked, "Dad, shall I introduce you to a partner? It's enough for Dad to have all of you." She knew that her father had been hurt by her mother. The woman he loved so much betrayed him without any mercy. They didn't even put on an act, so how could he not be hurt? Her mother wasn't hurt and had someone to dote on her. She didn't need children like her father did. Mom. Yi glanced at Jiang Zhao and then walked to the window. She drew the curtains and pushed the window open. After staying in the air-conditioned room for a long time, it felt very dry. At this moment, the cold air suddenly rushed in. Although it made people shiver, it also made them feel energized. The sky outside was still foggy and cold. When Yi called out, "Mom," she saw a white cloud that she exhaled. She exhaled silently again. This cloud was a little bigger. "Yi, Mom misses you." Yi walked to the window that she hadn't pushed open. As if she was bored, she exhaled the white cloud from her heart and lungs onto the glass. A large cloud of fog condensed on the glass. Yi's fingers were slender and fair. When her index finger landed on the cloud of fog, she slowly wrote, "Mom." When she finished writing the word, the cloud of fog wasn't big enough. She exhaled another cloud of fog and wrote another word, Mom. When tears rolled down her face, she didn't cry. She smiled and said, Mom, I miss you too. She knew that her mother wanted to see her because of Sijia. This wasn't the first time she had called her. She missed her and thought about Sijia. She wanted to persuade her to let Sijia go. Her mother didn't know that although she loved Sijia as much as her life, she would also get jealous. She would also feel sad because of her mother's favoritism. When she was young, she had never thought about whether her father was nicer to Sijia or to her. Sijia could get whatever she wanted and she could get whatever she wanted too. Because her father said that Yi-Er and Sijia were both her father's flesh and blood. Actually, Sijia was also her mother's flesh and blood. It was just that she didn't know what she was to her mother. Jolie sobbed softly. Yi-Er, come out and see Mom. Let's talk about Sijia, okay? Yi-Er felt the man's broad and reassuring hand on her shoulder. She massaged her temples and turned her head to look at the man who was wiping her tears with a tissue. The corners of her mouth trembled slightly. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi-Er's eyes that were filled with tears. With a gentle blink, the big bag of tears burst out and flowed all over her face. He held her head and lowered his head to kiss her forehead. Then he moved his mouth to her other ear that wasn't pressed against the phone. His voice was low and soft so it wouldn't spread outside of her ear. It could only pass through her ear canal, enter her eardrum and flow into her heart. Mrs. Jiang, I'm sorry. I forgot to give you a morning kiss today. I'll make it up to you now, he comforted her by saying, Good morning, my wife. Every day I'll say good morning to you. We'll always be like this. It will be like this again and again, year after year, forever. She didn't have to worry about anything else. You have me. You still have me. The woman reached out and grabbed the man's shirt. They hadn't put on their jackets yet. She felt that she was originally shivering from the cold, but because of the warm current flowing into her heart, she felt warm all over. She rested her forehead on his chest. She had leaned there for the whole night. When she was exhausted and sore all over, she would always lean on his chest and lie on his chest. Mom, you cannot talk about Sijia. If you don't talk about Sijia, I'll go and see you. Yi-Er couldn't give in. Sijia's matter wasn't up to her. Forget it. However, they all treated her as an iron man, a steel man, a saint who wouldn't fall. They all felt that she could make any decision because she had endured such a tough 2 years. No matter how tough it was, she still had to comfort her father and take care of her younger brother. She even took care of her younger brother until he grew up quite a bit. He didn't go astray, his grades were excellent and he was still a little gentleman. Every one of them felt that Yunyi was a very capable girl. She wasn't even 20 years old, but she was so capable. How worthy of learning from her. She must have a lot of extraordinary abilities. She must be very intelligent. Therefore they all felt that everything had to start with her. As long as they could get past her, everything would be easy. She knew that her mother thought this way. But her mother didn't know that regardless of whether she was willing or not, her father would never agree to give up Sijia because Sijia looked so much like her mother. Therefore her mother had bet on the wrong person. In her mother's eyes, the daughter of a saint who was omnipotent was actually useless. Everything that she had today wasn't real ability that she had painstakingly cultivated step by step. It was only because she had gotten into a man's bed that she was lucky. This man was a good man, that's all. Without this man, Yunyi would still be that poor Yunyi. Her father would still be in prison, and her younger brother could only go to an ordinary boarding school. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 566. However, in this man's eyes, no matter how much Yunyi struggled, she would not be able to achieve anything. He despised her and looked down on her little tricks. He always hit the nail on the head and saw through her tricks. In front of him she was just a paper tiger. In front of him she could only rely on pleasing him, acting coquettishly, and acting cute to get by. In front of him she couldn't be any more ordinary. She was just a woman who could only rely on his abilities to get by. She really hoped that everyone could see this and see that she was not a great Saint Seiya at all. There were people who could control her. As long as the man hugging her was willing, he could do whatever he wanted to her. How could a Saint Seiya be so weak? She sighed softly again. Hearing Yi-Er's words, Jolie could only agree. Okay. Yi-Er, Mommy promises you that I won't mention Sijia. I definitely won't mention Sijia, okay? Mommy just wants to see you. Mommy misses you. The man's arm wrapped around the woman's waist. He held her shoulder with one hand and slowly soothed her emotions with the other. From top to bottom, His warmth seeped through her blouse and wrapped around her back, refusing to leave. Waves of warmth made her heart tremble. Jiang Zhao, oh Jiang Zhao, how can you be so gentle to me? Are you trying to kill me? Okay, where? Jolie said, how about the leisure residence? Anything is fine. You decide. Then let's do it at 3 in the afternoon. I'll wait for you there. Yi'er hung up the phone. Jiang Zhao rubbed Yi'er's face. Don't cry. I'll go with you, okay? Jiang Zhao was smiling and teasing Yi'er at this moment. Actually, he was indescribably angry, but the person who called was his mother-in-law. He couldn't get angry. If it was someone else who called early in the morning and made her like this, he would definitely smash the phone and make her cry endlessly. He saw her slowly writing the word mommy on the glass. Her small shoulders were trembling like a sieve. He really wanted to smash the glass. What kind of mother was she? What kind of mother could be like Jolie? Wasn't she afraid that she would have nightmares at night if she didn't care about her daughter and son and went to enjoy a luxurious life? If he hadn't heard her heartbroken words. Mom, I miss you too. He really wanted to smash her phone. Cutting the flesh and scraping the bones, cutting the bones to connect the tendons, and bloodlines were things that others could never explain clearly. Although they were husband and wife and they should not be outsiders, he had already categorized Jolie as an outsider from a personal point of view. It was just that he could not show it in front of her. After all, she still cared about that mother of hers. She was still young. When she was 17 years old and shouldering everything by herself, the meaning of the word mother to her must have been extraordinary. Oh, why? You can send me there. Seeing that Jiang Zhao was not speaking, Yi'er pouted. Go home and have a good sleep. I'm just worried that you won't have a good rest. You're not like me. I'm unemployed. You're under a lot of pressure from work. That's it. More than that. Yi'er sighed softly. My mother must have something very private to say to me. If you're here, how is she going to say it? Say something that will make you cry? Then I'd better go and ask her to stop talking. Jiang Zhao was a little stubborn at this time. When Jolie appeared, Yi'er cried loudly. It was completely different from the tears that she usually shed. Usually when he made her cry, he would just tease her and coax her and she would be fine after a few moments. She was completely like a child. Jolie was different. That kind of hurt was not small. It was directly buried in her heart. If he was here, she would have someone to lean on. If he wasn't here and Jolie said something, she wouldn't even be able to find a shoulder to cry on. Even if he couldn't stop her from interacting with such a mother, it was his responsibility to stop such a mother from hurting her. Jiang Zhao saw that Yi'er was biting her lip and looking at her, conveying her difficulties. All right, I won't say anything, okay? I'll book a private room next to yours, okay? After you're done talking, we'll eat together. If you don't want to eat together, we'll go home together, okay? The tea houses in the leisure residence were all private rooms. They had sliding lattice doors and were for commoner consumption. The rooms were separated by wooden partitions. They looked antique and had a bit of a taste. However, since the cost of production was here, the soundproofing wasn't very good. But for commoners, it was considered a good environment. Yi'er didn't know why her mother chose such a place. After all, her mother looked very wealthy. She could have arranged to meet at a more high-end place with a more private environment. Yi'er arrived first because Jiang Zhao insisted on a place where the two private rooms were connected. If Jolie went to book a private room first, the private room next to hers might not be available. After Yi'er sat down on a hard Chinese-style chair, she asked for a pot of rose tea. She called Jolie to tell her that she had arrived. When Jolie arrived, Yi'er was stunned. Although her mother was dressed in branded goods, she looked a little haggard. After Jolie sat down, she looked at the grapefruit tea in front of her. Her eyes were a little red. When she looked up at Yi'er, she was a little ashamed. Yi'er, when you're free, come out and have a meal with Mom. Mom misses you a lot. Okay. Yi'er nodded. Then she smiled and said happily, okay, I'm going to the university town from Monday to Friday for tuition classes. I'm in high school and I'm preparing to take the college entrance exam again next year. But I'm free after school and on weekends. Yi'er talked about her schedule seriously. She was looking forward to how her mother would feel when she heard about her recent living situation. Would she be very concerned and ask how her studies were? Were her classmates easy to get along with? What major did she apply for? Which school did she go to? Did she plan to study in a college or university? Was she stressed? These were things that she should have experienced in the past. If she missed them, she would have to experience them again. Would her mother be like what her classmates said? My mother is so annoying. All she knows is to ask me to read books, do test papers, and do homework every day. She's afraid that I won't die in a pile of books. My mother is also so annoying. Every day she asks me how many points I got in the test today, who got the award, who got the first place, who was the top scorer in science, and whose child's parents were migrant workers but got into Peking University. In her eyes, other children will always be more capable than me. My mother is even more annoying. She does homework until 10 o'clock and cooks a bowl of supper for you. Just when you're about to be touched, she says that she'll read for another hour and a half before going to bed. Her memory is the best before bed. She wants you to wake up early tomorrow morning to memorize. I cooked some eggs for you. It's good for your memory. My mother is the real deal. She even cut off the TV and internet at home. If you want to check for information, you have to get her to connect you. She bought a CD player at home and plays music. Do you know what it's playing? The world's most beautiful English. Every day when I wake up, the house is filled with slow music, followed by monotonous, "When love beckons you follow him." Oh my God, as long as I'm at home, I'm about to break down. Yer also wondered if her mother would be the same as her. She wanted her to experience what life was like with her mother nagging at her side. However, Jolie said, "Yer, I know you don't want to see your mother and don't like her mentioning Sijia. But Mom is really in a difficult position. Mom has her difficulties." The smile on Yer's face had not dissipated. Just now it was like a flower petal blooming in the sun. At this moment, it was suddenly hit by a cold wind and the flower withered instantly. Sigh, she could only sigh in her heart. Blood relations were really a scary relationship. If it were friends or lovers, it wouldn't be so painful, right? You don't want to be calculative, but you want to be calculative. Mom said, "I know you don't want to see your mother." She actually didn't know how much she wanted to see her. Sijia. She said she wouldn't mention it, but she still had to. Forget it. She shouldn't be calculative. She was already so old and married. How could she be jealous of her younger brother? She would be like a child. But Dad said, "Yer, in Dad's eyes you will always be a child. As long as Dad is alive, even if your hair is white, your back is bent, and your face is full of wrinkles, you will still be a child." Mom, we agreed not to mention Sijia, so let's not, okay? The tears in Jolie's eyes were about to fall. Her hand on the table reached out and grabbed Yer's hand, which was holding a small glass cup to warm it. "Yer, if Mom didn't say that, you wouldn't have come out to see Mom. Mom can't live without Sijia. Sijia must go with Mom. Help Mom, okay?" Yer looked down at the rose tea in the cup. It had turned a light yellow. Her tears fell into the cup and rippled the water. When she choked, her voice was intermittent. Her voice was not soft, but it sounded sad and weak. "Mom, don't you miss me at all? Don't you miss me at all? I already told you that next year. I'm taking the college entrance exam. Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy?" The door to the room opened. Jiang Zhao stood at the door. When he strode in, he called Jolie Mom, emotionlessly. He walked to Yer's side, held her hand and pulled her up. He took a deep breath and frowned slightly. "I was the one who asked you to go to university. I was the one who chose your major. Who do you need to be happy for you? The person you should be asking the most is me, are you happy or not? Do you understand?" Yer looked up. She pursed her lips for a long time. Clear snot flowed out of her nostrils as she cried. "Jiang Zhao, then are you happy that I'm going to university?" Jiang Zhao's heart ached. He took a piece of tissue and wiped off her snot. He held her in his arms, rested his chin on the top of her head and said softly, "I'm happy. Yunyi, I'm very happy that you're going to university." "Really?" Her father said, that's great. Her brother said, "Sister, you can do it." Her husband said, "Yunyi, I'm very happy. I'm really happy." She didn't know if it was because of her own feelings, but she felt that Jiang Zhao's words sounded especially sweet. It was like a dry and warm cotton blanket suddenly wrapped around a person who had been exposed to the cold wind for a long time. It was so warm that her blood started to flow again. Her throat, which was so dry that she didn't want to speak, was suddenly filled with the scent of mint. The sliding door of the private room was closed. There was a stove in the corner with an old teapot on it. The water in the teapot started to boil and white steam came out of the spout. The man didn't care that his mother-in-law was sitting on the other side of the table. He gently rubbed the back of her head with his large palm. When he kissed her mouth, his movements were very gentle. His soft lips licked, parted and kissed again gently. There was no desire, only comfort. Welfare Song Shu 566. Chapter 567. Jiang Zhao thought that he must be crazy. Although the door was closed, there were other people sitting next to him. To him they were in public. He would never do such a thing. But what else could he do? What else could he do? He saw dependence and gratitude in her eyes. He was the God who saved her from the abyss of suffering. She longed for him to pull her out of her pain. He had to give her support and comfort. Otherwise she would not be able to stand or walk. She felt that she was balanced, wronged, and upset. Hugs and kisses. So what if he was a politician? Did he not have any emotions and desires? Did he not have anyone he wanted to protect? So what if the door was pushed open at this moment? The person he was hugging and kissing was his wife. Jolie was embarrassed beyond words. It was not because her daughter and son-in-law were kissing in front of her. Although she was a mother of two, she was not conservative. She was embarrassed because of the way Jiang Zhao looked at her when he entered the door. It was as if he was looking at a passerby with some disgust. It was as if a stranger had appeared out of nowhere and disturbed him. When he called her Mom, there was no emotion in his voice. There was only the alienation in his eyes, as if he wanted to isolate her. Jiang Zhao. Jolie took a deep breath. Since he called her Mom, she had to put on the airs of a mother-in-law. Jiang Zhao acted as if he did not hear anything. He did not turn his head. He bit Ye's lips and pulled twice. When he let go, he rubbed her face. Don't cry. Let's go home now. Seeing that the woman's eyes were still red, he lowered his head and whispered in her ear, Let's go back to our home. Ye grinned. The cloudy sky suddenly cleared up. The sun was bright and dazzling, piercing Jiang Zhao's heart. The two of them then turned to look at Jolie. Jolie said again, Jiang Zhao, have a seat. Jiang Zhao smiled, but there was no warmth in his eyes. Mom, I'm not sitting. Ye ate very little for lunch. Let's go back and get something to eat. If you're hungry, just order something to eat here. There are many snacks in this tea house. Jiang Zhao smiled. Nah, she's not used to eating outside. She always feels that the food outside is not clean. She's afraid that she'll have diarrhea if she eats. Speaking of this, Jiang Zhao paused and tightened his grip on the woman's shoulder. He lowered his head to look at the strands of hair on her forehead and fell into a trance. His Adam's apple bobbed, and he looked into Jolie's eyes again with a bitter smile. Actually, it's not that. I know that she's just used to cooking by herself. At that time, Dad was in prison and the relevant accounts were frozen. Sijia was picky and wanted to eat delicious food. At that time, she didn't have the money to take Sijia to a big restaurant, so she looked up some recipes on the internet and learned to cook by herself. Now she can cook a lot of dishes and snacks. Speaking of this, Jiang Zhao chuckled. Mom, tell me. A tall girl like her standing in the kitchen doesn't look like a chef at all. She's still so young, but she's already like a chef. She's also never had a master. No one would believe me if I told them. My mom is already so old, but she only knows how to cook scrambled eggs with tomatoes. Jolie's mouth was slightly open, trembling so much that she couldn't close it. She saw Yi lower her head and press it against Jiang Zhao's chest. She softly said, Hubby, let's go home. Don't talk about it anymore. Jiang Zhao didn't move. He still had a smile on his face, but his gaze was cold. He spoke slowly but aggressively. His words were like knives that couldn't be avoided. When they pierced into someone's flesh, the tip of the knife pulled back and cut the flesh and bones. It was very satisfying. I've always told Yi that her culinary skills were inherited from her parents. But Dad said that he could never figure out the amount of salt he had. So I guess that she must have inherited Mom's skills. Otherwise, how could she be so capable at such a young age? With her talent, I wouldn't believe that she could be a self-taught genius. Haha, actually, I really like eating at home. It's very warm. Why don't you invite Mom over some other day? Don't blame me for being immature. I really want to try Mom's cooking. It's definitely better than Yi's. After he finished speaking, he lowered his head and kissed Yi on the top of her head again. At this moment she was grabbing onto his clothes tightly. She endured him telling her mother about her past hardships in a humorous manner. He sighed and laughed. Sigh, it's all Yi's fault. She raised Sijia's appetite to the point that he refused to go to boarding school and wanted to eat her cooking every day. She raised my appetite to the point that I only want to eat dishes cooked by people who can cook better than her. Why don't we do it tomorrow? Is Mom free? Jolie's body swayed from the shock. She quickly supported herself on the table and exhaled in a shaky breath. Jiang Zhao, I don't know how to cook. Oh? How is that possible? Jiang Zhao looked at Jolie with a gaze that said, Stop joking. Filial piety? If this woman had treated Yi well, he wouldn't have said these words to hurt her. He would have sincerely called her Mom. Jolie was hurt by Jiang Zhao's gaze. Did he want her to explain? Did he want her to explain why she didn't know how to cook? Because her life had always been good. Because she had never suffered. Because even when her children were running around for a living, she still had a luxurious car and a luxurious mansion. Delicacies? But who would dare to explain this? She didn't dare. She saw the daggers and swords in Jiang Zhao's eyes. She didn't dare. Jiang Zhao, I want to talk to Yi Er about Sijia. Can you lend me some time? Zhou originally wanted to put on the airs of a mother-in-law, but now she knew that she couldn't get any respect from Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao said, Mom, I'm sorry. There's no room for discussion. I've already made it very clear the last time. I can afford to raise Sijia. You don't have to worry about his growth. Besides, Yi Er has taken good care of Sijia. He didn't say that you can't see Sijia. He's always at home during the weekends. Mom can come to Ninth Mansion often. When Yi Er was sad to a certain extent, she knew how to improve and repair herself. She wriggled out of Jiang Zhao's arms, sniffled, and took a tissue to wipe her tears. Mom, there's no room for discussion about Sijia. You've already divorced Dad. I don't care who you're with now. I wish you happiness. When you're old, Sijia and I will take care of you. So, you don't have to think about raising a child to protect you in your old age. We have to fulfill our responsibilities and obligations. I won't shirk from them. I won't find excuses to shirk. Don't worry. Live the life you want now. Sijia is at home today. Why don't you come with us to Ninth Mansion to see him? Jolie stood up. Yi Er, Sijia is still young. He needs a mother. Yi Er nodded. She raised her hands and smoothed her hair back. Then she let out a long sigh. Actually, I've been a good mother for the past 2 years. I've been very responsible. I've been even more serious than the nanny the Yin family hired. I've picked him up, washed him up, and had heart-to-heart talks. I've done everything well. After Mom takes him away, can you be like me and do everything by yourself? Mom will definitely hire a nanny. Why don't you just follow me? Jolie was dealt another blow. After Jiang Zhao pulled Yi Er out of the room, Jolie slumped back into the chair. She took out her cell phone from her Hermes crocodile leather bag and dialed a number. Her anger rose immediately. I'm telling you, I've done my best. If you ask me to talk to Yi Er about Sijia again, I'll just chop you to death with a knife. After venting her anger, she suddenly burst into tears. Every time I see her, I feel like slapping myself. Do you know that I was slapped by my own daughter? Jiang Zhao drove the car and did not mention Sijia and Jolie at all. It was as if nothing had happened. Honey, I want to eat crabs tonight. Let's make some braised crabs, okay? Yi Er nodded and looked at the traffic ahead. What kind of crab do you want to eat? Braised crabs? I don't really like green crabs. How about swimming crabs? Okay, we'll go to the supermarket later. You can wait for me in the car outside. I'll come out after buying the crabs. It won't take long. I'll go with you. You can teach me how to choose while you're at it. Next time when I want to eat crabs but we don't have them at home, I can bring some home. That way you won't have to run out to buy them again. Forget it. Just sit in the car. When we go to the supermarket, there are a lot of middle-aged people and old ladies. Many people know you. When they see you later, they'll all come over to greet you. It'll be so annoying. Otherwise, we won't be able to eat dinner at 9 o'clock. Jiang Zhao could only obey. Yi Er did not push the shopping cart when they arrived at the supermarket. He only took a dark blue shopping basket and bought some crabs. When Yi Er just entered the supermarket, a man with furrowed eyebrows got out of an SUV in the parking lot. He closed the car door, clipped on his sunglasses and followed in. Jiang Zhao felt a little tired. He did not get enough sleep last night. When Yi Er left, he yawned. He adjusted the seat and lay down. He wanted to sleep for a while. Less than 5 minutes after he closed his eyes, the monotonous ringtone of his phone started to ring. Before a person entered a state of deep sleep, they especially hated to be disturbed. He really did not want to answer the phone. He had never been so willful before. At his age, there were very few people who called to chat. Usually, it was because there was something important. He yawned again and unlocked his phone to answer the call. Hello, brother, Qin Fian said. Jiang Zhao closed his eyes. Yes, what's the matter? You still want to sleep with sister-in-law? Qin Fian laughed and teased him. No, she went to buy groceries. I'm waiting for her in the car. I'm lying down to sleep for a while. I think she'll be back soon. Let's talk about something important. He opened his eyes and looked at the roof of the car. He stretched out his long arm and pressed the button on the sunroof. The sun visor slowly slid back. The sky outside was a little gray. There was not a single cloud in sight. It was a little regretful. I was just about to tell you that I want a freeload dinner tonight. I really want to eat sister-in-law's home-cooked dishes. The taste is simply too extraordinary. Jiang Zhao sat up proudly. You want to eat? Too extraordinary? Look at whose wife she was. As he thought about it, he laughed happily. Don't say this to Grandpa. If he hears this, he will say that you're a little bastard who can't raise a family. It's too late for Grandpa to be happy. We've already agreed that I will go to mansion number 9 tonight. Oh brother, I'm at the shopping mall. What color does sister-in-law like? Welfare Hongcha 866. Chapter 568. Jiang Zhao was puzzled. You wanted to give her a gift? Since when did Fian want to give Yi Er a gift? This was not a good thing. He had to be on his guard. Why are you asking this? Qin Fian sighed and laughed. Our beauty, you called me from overseas and said that I have no conscience as a son. I always ask my secretary to pick a gift for her. She knew that it was my secretary who picked it. She was very hurt and said that she had given birth to her son for nothing. She didn't want to see me anymore. So I came to the mall to pick a gift for her. Women are so troublesome. Why is there such a big difference between Auntie and her? Jiang Zhao laughed when he heard that. Come on, Sister Yu has given you enough face. Sister Jin is the one who is hard to deal with. She wants to be high and mighty like a mother, and then she wants to be a young girl. Calling her mother makes her sound old. Sometimes she is unhappy, and when I call her Sister Zhen, she will say that the younger generation has no respect for their elders. Sister Yu is overseas. If she wants to come back because of her motherly love, you will be bullied by her every day. Choose a gift well. Your sister-in-law suits any color. If you want to buy more. Hats, clothes, pants, shoes. I will send you the sizes later. Oh, buy a shawl. It's cold. Buy boots for her. The ones with thick fur. Her feet are a little cold. Also, buy a pair of lambskin gloves, those are very soft. As for the color, buy something brighter. I think pink is pretty good. Also, buy a scarf in a bright color. Yellow, sky blue, light green, pink, soft purple, one of each. As for the overcoat, Qin Fian pretended to be angry and stopped him. Bandit, did I say that I want to buy so much? I just saw a small cloth clip with a bow. It's 30 yuan each. I just wanted to ask her what color she wanted. Jiang Zhao acted as if Qin Fian was right in front of him. He said seriously, Oh, I forgot. We are not cooking tonight. Don't come. Okay, don't go home later if you dare. I have already asked my secretary to bring a bouquet of flowers to your house. She can only leave when I go. She is chatting with your father-in-law. Then you can go after dinner. We don't have enough bowls at home and we don't want to waste money by adding more bowls. You know, our salary has dropped now. It's okay. I'll eat with a plate. Jiang Zhao laughed and said, Qin Fian, are you shameless enough to buy a 30 yuan clip when you visit someone else's house? Qin Fian said, He's obviously one of us. How did he become someone else? You're treating me like an outsider. Qin Fian hung up the phone and dialed his secretary's line. Beauty, send in the things I finished working overtime today. I want to use them. All right, wait a moment, pretty boy. Qin Fian finished reading the information sent by his secretary and took a deep breath. He rested his elbows on the table and crossed his fingers to support his chin. Behind his glasses, his eyes were changing rapidly. He racked his brains. This Inan is only 20 years old. How can she be so experienced? Is she Yunwu's girlfriend? Because Yunwu is weak, Grandpa, she found such a decisive girlfriend for Yunwu? A 20-year-old girl, coercing, enticing, and hitting the snake's weak spot with every step. Every move is effective. How can she grasp the evilness, greed, and fear of the human heart so well? These people are really hard to understand. Yi picked up the net and scooped up a few crabs. Then she picked one up and weighed it. She turned it over and looked at its belly. She gently pressed the belly button with her thumb. Not bad. It's very fat. She chose the crabs and weighed them. Then she went to the vegetable section to choose chives, ginger, and other spices. Because there was a lot of traffic in the supermarket, she did not notice that there was a burly man following her. She queued up to pay the bill and carried the shopping bags out of the supermarket. Jiang Zhao's car was parked a little far away. Fortunately, there were not many things so she could walk there. Miss, let me help you carry it. Yi turned around and saw the friendly man in sunglasses. There was some stubble around his mouth. She took a step back. Her instincts told her that he wanted to strike up a conversation with her. No need, thank you. Just as she was about to leave, the man in sunglasses chased after her. His voice was a little hoarse. It's okay. Park your car here. I'll help you carry it. Ye's identity was different from before. She was afraid that her rough image would be photographed and made a mountain out of a molehill and affect Jiangzhou. Therefore she always paid attention to her image in public. Yet she rejected him with a smile. In the eyes of the passers-by she was a familiar person. So when a strange smell entered her nose and made her dizzy, no passers-by felt anything strange when she was helped into the car. When Yi woke up, the sky was already dark. When she realized that she had been kidnapped, she was drenched in cold sweat. In the past 2 years she had encountered many things. The most dangerous thing was that time when she was chasing a robber and almost got stabbed. She had never been kidnapped. "Let me out of the car." She didn't ask who he was. A familiar person wouldn't treat her like this. She was tied up and lying on her side in the back seat. It was difficult for her to sit up. "Get out of the car?" The man in sunglasses smiled coldly. "You can go to hell. What do you want? How much do you want? Money? No, I just want your life." Yi breathed out shakily. She couldn't calm down. She wanted to cry, she wanted to argue, she wanted to break free from the ropes on her back, open the door and jump out of the car. "I didn't offend anyone." "You're lying." "Lying? It's no use lying to ghosts. I'm just taking your money. I'll give you a quick death later. Then I'll chop you up and throw you into the river to feed the fish. No one will find any clues. Don't worry, my methods are always clean. Your family will just think that you're missing. Let me out of the car, you beast." Yi was really crying. She was so scared that she was crying. No one could be so calm in the face of death and being dismembered. At least she couldn't do it. She found many reasons for herself. She was still young. It was normal that she couldn't take it. She was afraid of death. She always felt that a bad life was better than a good death. No matter what, it was better to be alive. She still had many things to do. Her father's sentence had not really been reduced. If she died, would Jiang Zhao still care about her? Would her father still go to jail? What about her younger brother? He was still so young. She still had someone to love. She hadn't made Jiang Zhao fall in love with her. If she died like this, it would be a waste. She loved him until she died, but after she died, he would marry another woman. He said before that he wouldn't care about her family anymore. At most, he would give them some money. She didn't want to die. She couldn't accept it. The man driving was expressionless. "Cry. Before you die, you should think about the grievances you've suffered. Cry well. After crying, you'll be satisfied when you cross the bridge of helplessness and feel free." Only then did Yi know that there really was such a demon in the world. He must be a repeat offender. He was like an ancient killer who made people tremble in fear. He was very fast. He understood the fear people felt before they died. He even had the professional ethics to tell you that you don't have to be afraid even if you go to hell. You do things for money. "If you let me go, I'll give you money?" Yes, she had money. Jiang Zhao had given her a lot of money. It was all in the card. When he gave her the card, she thought it was just some living expenses. Later, she used her USB to check online. After counting for a long time, she was so scared that her heart almost jumped out of her chest. So later, when Jiang Zhao wanted her to learn accounting, she didn't object. Perhaps she could help him manage some accounts in the future. But wasn't saving her life more important now? He had said that the money was hers. Then he wouldn't say anything if she took out a portion of it to buy her life, right? The man laughed coldly. "In my line of work, the biggest taboo is to go back on your words. If I let you go because you offered a higher price, how am I going to do business in the future?" Yi was disappointed. Her mind was in a mess. She didn't dare to play tricks with someone who wanted her life. She supported herself to sit up and leaned against the car door. Her ankles were tied and it was too difficult for her to move. The man who was driving knew she couldn't play any tricks and didn't stop her. Think about it. A woman with her limbs tied up in a locked car. What can she do? The streetlights outside were lit up, and the car was driving along the river towards a less populated area. Yi thought about how the man in front said he wanted to chop her up and feed her to the fishes. She felt cold all over. "My husband is the mayor. Aren't you afraid?" "What's there to be afraid of?" The man laughed. "Don't talk about the mayor's wife. As long as someone can pay me a satisfactory price, I will take your life." Yi felt a heavy blow to her heart. She suddenly gave up on negotiating with this man. It was useless to talk to a killer who only cares about money. Her mobile phone did not ring. It should be switched off or thrown away. Yi looked out of the car window and saw many cars passing by each other. Young people love to race. Suddenly that car made her feel refreshed. It was the kind of feeling when the cold wind blew. That day, Ching Su had greeted her at the 9th mansion. That day it was Min Zikai who was driving this car. She couldn't be wrong. The Qian was decorated with willow branches, and the Yi air was fluttering in the wind. It was as if spring had arrived. A fiery red Qian with tender green willow leaves. Only Qing Su would do such a thing. She had always been rebellious. She didn't care about matching, fashion, and taboos. If you said she was neither fish nor fowl, she would say she was different. If you said she was lawless, she would say she was pursuing her own individuality. Yer was tall. When she sat up straight, she was taller than the average girl. She leaned against the car door, and the fingers that were tied behind her back could touch the window switch. Since she was going to die anyway, she had to take the risk. If Min Zikai was here, he might save her. When Yi Er saw her car overtaking the red Qian, she rolled down the window and leaned against the door. She wanted to jump out of the car. But the speed of the car was too fast and she didn't dare to take the risk. If she jumped out of the car behind would catch up with her. She would die. The man in shades saw her reaction and scolded. Damn woman. When the man in shades pressed the switch and was about to close the back door, Yi Er shouted at the car behind. Help! Help! The car window was still stuck tightly to Yi Er's sternum. It hurt a lot, but this gave Yi Er the chance to shout a few more times. Help! The man in shades stopped the car by the roadside. He quickly knelt on the seat, rolled down the window and released Yi Er. He reached out and pulled her back. The road by the river was quiet and wide, especially when they were driving towards a deserted area. Qing Su drove. Even with the windows closed, she could almost hear the sound of the wind. Today was a special day. She had to go to the shoal to burn some incense and bring some of her mother's favorite food. Just as she was lost in thought, she saw half a body sticking out of the off-road vehicle in front of her and shouting at her car. Even though it was already dark, she could still recognize who was in the car. How dangerous was that? Did he want to die? Welfare Xingwu 799. Chapter 569. When did Jiang Zhao change his car? Was it an off-road Honda? It didn't seem like Jiang Zhao's taste. When she drove past the Honda, she tilted her head to take a look. The car had already stopped by the roadside. Should she go over and say hello? She had seen it. But just as she was about to stop by the roadside, the Honda suddenly sped up and dashed out. When Qin Fian rushed to the supermarket surveillance room, Jiang Zhao was staring at the screen without blinking. He didn't believe that a living person would fly away just like that. Before Qin Fian left, he had called Jiang Zhao to tell him that he was heading to 9th Mansion. But Jiang Zhao's tone didn't sound right. He told him to come later and there seemed to be a lot of people around him. At that time, Jiang Zhao had already gone to the supermarket to look for Yi Er. His phone was turned off. Qin Fian heard the urgency and irritation in Jiang Zhao's voice very clearly. He asked, "Brother, what happened?" "Nothing." Jiang Zhao wasn't sure, but he didn't believe that a crab could be bought for 2 hours. He had just hung up on Fian and slept for a while. When he woke up, the sky was dark and the street lights were on, but she hadn't come out yet. He dialed her number without saying anything, but her phone was turned off. He got out of the car and went into the supermarket. He felt that the air circulation in the supermarket wasn't very good. He felt a little dizzy when he breathed. After looking around, he could only ask the staff to use the radio to announce, "Madam Yunyi, your phone is turned off. Your husband is looking for you. Please contact the staff immediately after you hear the radio." Qin Fian asked, "Brother, do you think something happened?" Jiang Zhao pulled at his collar. Although he didn't wear a tie on Saturday, he felt like he was going to be strangled by the buttons of his shirt. "Your sister-in-law bought a crab for 2 hours. Her phone was turned off. I've been looking for her in the supermarket near 9th Mansion. It's been half an hour, but no one has come to the broadcast room. The staff also said that no one has asked about her." Qin Fian said a few more words to Jiang Zhao, then hung up and drove away. When he found Jiang Zhao, he quietly watched the surveillance footage with Jiang Zhao. The supermarket was too big. Even if Jiang Zhao showed the photos on his phone to the staff and asked more than 10 people to stare at a large number of monitors to look for her, they might not be able to recognize her. After all, the surveillance cameras in the supermarket were all from above, and at a slanted angle the face could not be seen clearly. Jiang Zhao suddenly remembered. "Alright, it's so hot in the supermarket. She might have taken off her coat. She's wearing a pinkish-gray collarless shirt inside." Perhaps he had only described her coat earlier, so no one had noticed it. Qing Su felt that they were really fated. Everyone was heading towards the shallow beach? She thought that no one would go to such a remote and desolate place. Could it be that Yi Er wanted to be romantic with Jiang Zhao? There was only one quiet place in Haiqing, and it couldn't even let her mother rest in peace after her death. This was a terrible feeling. She just wanted to go and say hello. Who wouldn't recognize her car and the people who had seen it before? Who would put green willow branches on a red Qian? Qing Su was the only one in Haiqing who decorated her car like this. Ignore them? She was going over to greet them because of Yi Er. So what if he was the mayor? He was not even the mayor. He was just a deputy mayor, and he was acting as if he was the head of state. She could tell that he was a poor man driving such a car. If he had some money he would have bought a Land Rover. Yi Er must be blind. She had such a good background, and it shouldn't be a problem for her to marry a rich man. How could she marry a poor man who drove such a car? She was unhappy and stepped on the accelerator. She chased after the Honda SUV. Jiang Zhao, from today onwards I will look down on you. I will blackmail Min Hongxing to buy a super strong Hummer to crash into your useless car. You won't be so arrogant after you sprained your back. How dare you disrespect me? I will kick you to death. She chased after the Honda SUV closely. She was almost parallel to the Honda SUV when she caught up with it. She wanted to roll down the window and scold, "Jiang Zhao, you bastard! Don't you dare try to shake off my car again." But she did not succeed every time. If Yi Er's character was spicy, then Qing Su was spicy. She was really angry. Jiang Zhao did not give her any face at all. She was so angry that her stomach was on fire. When she was angry she pulled on the seat belt. It was very good, very firm. Her hands that were holding the steering wheel opened and closed. Her pretty face that still had some baby fat on it smiled slyly. She stepped on the accelerator and aimed at the rear wheel of the SUV. Thinking of the Hong Kong films that she had watched, she suddenly felt her blood rush to the sky. With the help of her hands, the steering wheel quickly swung to the left. Bam! The Qian hit the right rear of the Honda SUV. Other than the loud bam, there was the sound of the brakes and tires rubbing against the ground. The sound scraped against one's body like foam rubbing against glass. The black Honda SUV was obviously at a disadvantage. The car was much lighter than the Qian, and it was hit by the weight of the Qian, so it was thrown further away. Although the driver looked skilled, he could not withstand the force of the Qian's plate. The rear of the car was hit to the left, and the front of the car was slanted to one side. There was a pedestrian walkway by the river. It was about 10 centimeters higher than the road. When the Honda turned the steering wheel, it did not release the accelerator. It rushed onto the pedestrian walkway and hit the guardrail on the upstream road. The loud noise when the two cars collided was a thrill that Qing Su had never experienced before. In addition to the burning anger in her body, there was also the belief that she must defeat the Honda. Fortunately, the road was wide enough. After the collision, there was only a loud bang and the two cars were bounced off. There were messy and powerful tire marks on the road, as if there had just been a battle. After the red Qian was bounced off, Qing Su stepped on the brakes and held the steering wheel tightly. She saw the Honda restarting the car after hitting the guardrail outside. She stepped on the accelerator again. In her impression, Jiang Zhao was not so overbearing. Although he did not walk around much, he was at least a gentleman outside. Even if it was just polite, he would say a few words to her, even if he treated her as a child. It was fine if he ignored her today, but how dare he provoke her like this? Lu Qingsu was not a min. She was not as cowardly as that guy. Was originally tied up in the car. Before the car was hit, she was curled up in the back seat. This hit directly threw her from the seat to the ground. Her head hit the back of the front seat with a bam sound. She suddenly felt dizzy and stars appeared in front of her eyes. When she fell from the seat, not only did she hit the back of the front seat but she was also bounced off. As she fell, her waist happened to hit the raised partition in the middle of the back seat. Because of inertia, she was tied behind her back. Her arms suddenly hurt. This pain pierced her heart and lungs. In the next second, it was so painful that she wished she could not feel anything. Yi Er thought that Min Zikai must have found her and was coming to rescue her. She had to clench her teeth. No matter what, there was still hope. Her waist and arm joints hurt terribly, but she could not lie there anymore. At this time, it was obviously impossible to ask the hitman if he was wearing a seatbelt. She had to squeeze herself between the seats and curl up into a ball. Otherwise, if she was hit again, she would very likely be thrown onto the front windshield. Moreover, she would have to squat behind the driver's seat. When a driver turned the steering wheel, they would instinctively turn the steering wheel for their own safety. If she squatted to the right, she would definitely be courting death. Fortunately, she was tall. When she shrunk to the side of the car door and stretched out her leg to press against the partition in the middle of the back seat, she felt that it was very tight. With this hit, Yi Er was seriously injured. Blood flowed down from her forehead. She had no way of wiping it off and could only pretend that it was sweat. Blood also flowed out from the corner of her mouth. She could only pretend that her mouth was bitten by her teeth. Jiang Zhao stared at the screen in front of him. He did not know where to place his hands. If he placed them on his face, he would rub them. If he placed them on his waist, he would pinch them hard. When he placed them on his arms, he wished that he could strangle himself to death. Quick look. Is this the one? A staff member shouted excitedly. This, the color of the undershirt, the hair, and the height. I think it's quite similar. Jiang Zhao and Qin Fian hurried to the staff member's side. Jiang Zhao bit down on one side of his lip and then pulled it open. A large breath escaped from the other side of his mouth that was not bitten. He saw Yi Er with her jacket over her arm. She took out a card from her bag and handed it to the cashier. The cashier swiped the card and asked her to key in the password. While the cashier was typing the ticket, Yi Er put the crab into the bag that the cashier gave her. Then she signed the receipt, kept the card, and left the supermarket. He felt that in this world, there would definitely be no one who would look at a woman so seriously like him. He wanted to see every single expression on her face clearly, even if she had her head lowered. She picked up the crab and lifted it a little high. Then she looked at the spoils of war that she had chosen and smiled with satisfaction. It was as if she had already seen a plate of braised crab. It was just a surveillance camera, but he could see it so clearly. He could even see her smile clearly. Until he saw her come out of the supermarket's entrance and be dragged into a car. This was something that happened right under his nose. She was dragged into a car from the car park. He should not have slept at that time. What do you mean by being recognized? He went to the supermarket to look for people who should recognize him. Everyone recognized him. Why did he agree to her childish request? The mayor was buying groceries with his wife. Doesn't this show that he is a good mayor? Jiang Zhao was not calm. Qin Fian saw Jiang Zhao's breathing getting heavier and heavier. He knew that Jiang Zhao could not accept it. He immediately lowered his head and said to the staff member, "Zoom in on the license plate. Zoom in. This angle is too high and I can't see it clearly. Then chase after this car. Keep moving forward. Wait until it is a few meters away, then the angle will not be high. Zoom in again and you will be able to see it clearly." Qin Fian wanted to scold him. "Are you AF** King Pig?" Jiang Zhao walked out of the surveillance room. Qin Fian followed him. Jiang Zhao said, "Fian, call the people from the Transportation Bureau now. This car left the supermarket and is heading towards Xixing Road. We must track this location. This time all the phones are turned off. Be quick." When Jiang Zhao reached the end of his sentence, his voice choked up and he didn't continue. He raised his hand to press his head and massaged his temples, but it also blocked his eyes that were suddenly wet. He was very afraid. The last time Xinyo took him away, his phone had been turned on silent by someone else. The fingerprints on the phone didn't belong to Xinyo or Anin. It should be Xiyun's chauffeur. At least it was on silent mode. At least he could find the person. But this time? His phone was turned off. There was no way to check the location. Just now when he was watching the surveillance, he kept looking at his phone. He wondered if he should receive a call for extortion. It must be some political enemies he had made over the years. Even if there weren't any, there must be some business people he had offended. It was inevitable that they would want to take revenge on him. It must be all his fault. He shouldn't have been so eager for quick success. He shouldn't have been so eager for quick results. He should have slowed down his pace. He shouldn't have been thinking about how to move faster in the future. Eating hot tofu in a hurry would burn one's intestines and stomach until it rotted. Come and see. Shinwu 799. Chapter 570. Why did she have to be dragged into this? He had waited for so long, but the blackmail call had not come. She had not even eaten dinner. Would that person not let her eat? He had not received any threatening calls. If that person was not after him, what was he after? Because of her beauty? She was not the most beautiful. Not at all. Not at all. No one would fancy her. He kept comforting himself like this, but he could not convince himself. Didn't he fancy her too? She was not the most beautiful, but she was enough to make people's eyes light up. At this moment he wished that the person was after him. In that case it would be easy to pay and make a deal. There was nothing that he would not agree to. He would agree to it. But what if it was the latter? Minzikai? Xiongwu? Shouldn't he go and test it out? What if he was not? Could it be that he had revealed some new information to them? How could he care about those useless things now? Human lives were more important, weren't they? Qin Fian saw that Jiang Zhao had a lot on his mind. He lowered his head and walked quickly, not wanting to disturb him. This was the second time he had seen his brother so distracted. The first time was during the National Day holiday when most of the Jiang family came to High City. His brother had received a phone call and was at a loss. His brother had asked him to find his uncle to check the location of the phone call. The photo on the phone was of his sister-in-law's side profile. Shaking his head, Qin Fian did not want to think about the past anymore. He picked up the phone and found the number of the chief of traffic. After a few polite words, he explained his purpose. Seeing that Jiang Zhao was walking faster and faster, his tone became more serious. Yes. This car must be found. The direction and route must be clear. What I'm worried about now is that there are no surveillance cameras on the route he took. We need to send a message to the checkpoint to intercept or track him. It has been a long time, but it was rush hour at that time. The car can't be fast. It will be difficult to get out of High City, but he must have left the main city area by now. Yes. That's all I can think of. As for the rest, I'll have to trouble Chief Lu to consider it more thoroughly. Yes, I'll immediately contact the Public Security Bureau and will definitely cooperate. All right. But don't tell the public about the details of this matter. You're too courteous, Chief Lu. Once the matter is settled, I'll definitely visit you to thank you. Definitely. At this time, Jiang Zhao did not mention anything about Qin Fian's phone call. It was not that he did not want to mention it, but that whatever he could think of, Fei Yan had already thought of it for him. His mind was now a little out of control. He could not affect Fei Yan. He knew that Fei Yan was calm and comprehensive when doing things. Qin Fian got into Jiang Zhao's car. Go directly to the police station? Or do we follow the route of the SUV that Chief Lu sent over and find our own way to meet up with the police? Jiang Zhao raised his wrist to look at the time. His arm was trembling and his voice was also trembling. Meet up, I can't wait. Brother, I'll drive. You sit beside me. Asterisk. Every time the Qian hit the Honda, Qing Su would clench her fist and pound the steering wheel, shouting excitedly, yeah. Was too exciting. Although she was also rebounded by the force of the collision, sometimes her head would hit the car window and even cause a bruise, but it could not be compared with the pride of fighting to win. Qing Su had always had the upper hand, relentlessly attacking. Until the Honda's tires and brakes suddenly screeched. The whole car was like a turntable, instantly turning 180 degrees. Stepping on the brakes, the car aimed at Qing Su's car. At this time, the car also turned on its blinding high-beam headlights, like a tiger staring at its prey, shooting so much that Qing Su could not open her eyes. Not to be outdone, Qing Su also turned on her headlights and aimed them at the other party. Qing Su only thought that Jiang Zhao, this jerk, was becoming more and more immoral. Could Yi Er also allow him to bully her like this? Actually, in the past she always felt that Yi Er was quite good to her. She even felt sorry for her background and always spoke ill of Min Yu's mother with her. Otherwise she would not have liked to play with Yi Er. Yi Er felt the car stop. She propped up her exhausted body and rested her head on the seat. Instantly, blood splattered on the seat. Using the strength of her shoulders, she found support and sat up with difficulty. Even though she could not support her body to the front seat, she could still hear the breathing of the man in front of her. He sounded like a trapped beast. She raised her head weakly to look at the rearview mirror in front of her. The man's entire face was contorted. If he took off his large sunglasses, she would definitely see a pair of terrifying red eyes. This was already a cornered beast that had been forced into a corner. It looked like there was going to be another collision. She could not jump out of the car now. Everything was locked, so she might as well return to her original position. Today, whether it was Xiong Duo or Ji Shao, she had to give Min Zikai a chance to save her. She could not provoke the criminal. Otherwise she might be killed now. Qing Su looked at the car in front of her contemptuously. She simply turned off the headlights to let the man in front of her see her contempt for him clearly. She rolled down the window and stretched her hand out of the window. As if gathering all her strength into her left hand, she pulled it tightly and gave the car in front of her a hard middle finger. The man in sunglasses was greatly provoked by Qing Su's action. Today he could have quickly dealt with the woman behind him. Who knew that he would cause so much trouble? Not only did he cause trouble, but he was also chased and hit by a woman's car. It was like being chased and hit by a woman on the streets. At this time, the woman in front of him actually dared to give him the middle finger. This was really something that he could not swallow. He would not turn off the headlights. Letting the other party see him clearly would not do him any good. Qing Su's car was only slightly dented, but the Honda's hood was already arched up from the impact. The body of the car was even worse. For a car that had not been modified, suddenly accelerating, swerving, and crashing would cause a lot of damage to the car. However, Ching-Su did not care at all. She only thought that she would probably have to change a few tires when she went back this time. The car would have to be overhauled or she would have to buy a new one. Anyway, it would be a waste if she did not spend Min Hongxing's money. Ching-Su was feeling a little smug. However, when she heard the other party's car in neutral and the roar of the accelerator in neutral, she was shocked. He wanted to crash again. Ching-Su suddenly felt that the situation was not quite right. It was not that she was too smart, but because she had followed her mother since she was young, it was inevitable that she had a deeper understanding of judging the situation and observing people's expressions. Her intuition told her that the person in the car in front of her was not Jiang Zhao. Even if Jiang Zhao did not like Min Zikai and hated the fact that Min Zikai was his wife's ex-fiancée, even if he vented his anger on her, it would not be like this. Like this? Like what? Fleeing like a fugitive. Now that she thought about it, she was like a brave and fearless police officer chasing after a criminal who was desperately fleeing for his life. She had the impulse to sacrifice herself for justice, and the other party had the persistence to fight with his life. This was not like Jiang Zhao's character. Jiang Zhao could not be so petty. He was a person who achieved great things. If the person in the car was Min Zikai, how could Jiang Zhao wait until now to counterattack? If Min Zikai had crashed into Jiang Zhao's car, Jiang Zhao would definitely have turned the steering wheel. How could he have endured until now? Therefore, Jiang Zhao should not have thought of her as Min Zikai. She knew about Jiang Zhao. The year before last, when old Master Qin celebrated his birthday, all the family Min members went, and she also went. Even if it was a birthday banquet, it was possible to meet some people who spoke with sarcasm, especially those who had conflicts with Jiang Zhao in the political arena. After a few drinks they would be a little complacent. In her impression, Jiang Zhao was a person who was super black-bellied. He was famous outside for his gentlemanly and magnanimous manner. Everyone said that he was the role model of a red family, and that all the children of aristocratic families should learn from him. He had a good grasp of how to deal with people and how to deal with people. Unfortunately, that night, she saw with her own eyes that Jiang Zhao had asked the Qin family's workers to set a trap for the person who had offended him. She was stunned to see two men having an affair behind his back after drinking. They were both men, but that person was a political figure and was not on the same path as Qin Fian. Instantly, there was a lot of criticism. The news spread quickly and within a few days he was demoted. Jiang Zhao was a person who would never let others think that he was the one who did it. In front of others he was a gentleman and a public servant. When it came to pranking people he would not do it himself. He would only let others do it. Only when he was a meritorious official would he act on his own initiative. He wondered if this incident could be considered as a deep understanding of Jiang Zhao. When Ching-Su thought of this, she suddenly felt a chill run through her body. If the person driving the car was not Jiang Zhao, what was Yi Er trying to do when he stuck his head out of the window? She clearly saw that half of Yi Er's body was outside the window. He seemed to be shouting to greet her. Did he not even smile when he shouted? And he did not come out after shouting? If it was not a greeting? Then what was it? The other party's accelerator roared as if he was looking for the feeling of racing. Ching-Su gripped the steering wheel tightly and bit her lips lightly. Her legs were trembling. Suddenly the excitement from before was gone. She was full of nervousness. She did not know what she was afraid of. She only knew that she could not turn around and leave at this time. She had lived a wandering life with her mother since she was young, so she had always been aware of danger. At this time it was even more intense. The desire to escape arose, but she gave herself a hard slap. Lu Ching-Su, if you dare to run, you can go and take the surname of Min. The bright red Qian was like a ball of fire that had ignited by the riverside. The flame core was jumping. She put the car in neutral and stepped hard on the accelerator. She used the shocking sound of the exhaust to encourage herself. The fiery red Qian and the Honda SUV started their engines at almost the same time and rushed towards each other. Just as they were about to touch each other, they turned the steering wheel and avoided each other. Ching-Su was driving very fast. Accompanied by the sharp screeching sound of friction, she immediately stepped on the brakes after making a round due to inertia. Then she quickly stepped on the accelerator. She was afraid that she would hurt the person in the back seat of the SUV, so she aimed at the driver's seat and directly crashed into the door of the driver's seat. Ching-Su was now on a road that was very far from the city. Because there was a section of the road ahead that the municipal government did not invest money in repairing, it was almost cut off. Therefore, most people who came here were young couples who were dating. But now that it was winter, the wind was strong by the riverside. There were very few people who came here to date. On both sides of the road, there was a river on one side and a mountain on the other. The screeching of brakes and the sound of cars crashing into each other was endless. Ching Su was not a young lady from a prestigious family. Although she was wearing branded clothes and none of them were cheap, she spent money purely for the sake of spending money. She did not really know how to appreciate the good of those things. Beauty novel Song Shu 566. Chapter 571. At the end of the day, she still had the habit of being a gangster in her bones, and this habit had become stronger and stronger because she had been going against Min Hongxing. Many times she even deliberately deepened this bad habit. When she entered family Min's door, Min Zikai had followed Lan Chuyue and called her a little bastard. Therefore she had also been calling Min Zikai a little bastard and a wastrel. As long as Min Zikai had a flaw, she would say it in front of many people. She would say it as vicious as she could and never care about Min Zikai's feelings. Lan Chuyue called her a little slut born of a vixen, and she called Lan Chuyue a toad. In her next life she would still be a toad full of bumps. She refused to be taken advantage of and even suffered a lot for this, but she still persisted. She was not like Yi Er, who knew how to give in and swallow her anger in order to survive. She just rushed forward. If you don't want me to have a good life, I will not let you have a good life. She had the rebellious and willful attitude of a 17-year-old girl. However, her habit of being a gangster was even more so. If someone treated her well, she would remember that Yi Er had comforted her, enlightened her, and even kicked Min Zikai's, but when Min Zikai was scolding her, she was like a chivalrous woman upholding justice and then drove her to eat dessert. At that time Yi Er was 17 and she was only 15. In fact, she had always cared about others calling her a little bastard, but Yi Er did not mind. She knew that after this collision the airbag would definitely open, and some of the drivers would almost suffocate because the airbag did not open immediately. Although this kind of situation was rare, she felt that her luck was not that bad. The car was rushing over so fast, but she felt that it was such a slow process. She was even afraid that the other party would speed up to avoid it, and she would rush to the inner cliff. She stared at the door of the driver's seat and did not dare to blink for a moment. She turned the steering wheel to the left, and after rushing out, she quickly braked and made a hard right turn. She aimed at the door of the Honda's driver's seat and directly hit it. The expected bang of the collision did not appear. The Honda understood Ching Su's intention and stepped on the accelerator, narrowly avoiding this fatal collision. Men's driving skills were always better than women's. There were very few exceptions. Among the girls there were very few bold and unrestrained driving types like Yi Er and Ching Su. Moreover, Ching Su was very worried that she would accidentally hit the back seat. The Honda did not even hesitate. The car was the driver's seat. It was the car's driver's seat. Ching Su's car's driver's seat. The car driver's driver. The car. The ear-piercing screeching sound almost made Yi's heart jump out of her chest. She used almost all her strength to prop her leg against the partition of the back seat to prevent herself from being thrown out. Whenever the car was hit or the steering wheel was swerved, her head would hit the back of the seat or the door behind her. She felt that she could not hold on any longer. Both cars had their headlights turned on to disrupt each other's vision. Ching Su's palms were wet and slippery. She felt slippery on the steering wheel. She knew that the other car was trying to locate her at the fastest speed possible. They wanted to get rid of her. They wanted to get rid of this scourge. Today they were going to the shallow beach. His mother liked to eat some pastries. In the past she lived a hard life without money. Those mung bean cakes and black sesame cakes that cost only a few dollars each were considered delicacies in the world by her mother. She rarely bought them. If she had lived a few more years she probably wouldn't find those dry things tasty. The pastries were placed on the dashboard. Ching Su looked at them. "Mom, I'll buy more for you tomorrow." She reached out a hand and took out the most famous black sesame cake in High City from the paper bag. She quickly opened a few pieces and gently pinched them into tiny pieces. She quickly picked out some granules and put them in her hand. She passed on the ones that were crushed into powder. She did not turn the car around. She could not see the man clearly. She rolled down the car window and turned her head to let him see the contempt in her eyes. At this moment, she stealthily turned the steering wheel to the left at a good angle. This time she had to be faster than the previous time. Sure enough, after the driver saw her eyes clearly, he stepped on the accelerator with a boom and sped up. When the other car sped up, Ching Su threw the pieces of black sesame in her hand out and shouted, Come on. I'll give you some nails. The man in shades only saw the contemptuous look of the arrogant woman in the Kian. She was arrogant and smug as if victory was in her hands. It was only when he stepped on the accelerator that he realized that the other party had thrown a pair of small black objects. He could not see what they were, but they were small black objects. They could not be anything good. Look at the woman's smile. After so many collisions he was already used to dodging. He was already very vigilant. After so many collisions she must have noticed his vigilance. That was why she threw those things at him when he stepped on the accelerator. Nails? Yes, nails. Look at her, smiling so slyly. She didn't look very old and didn't seem to be very good at hiding her age. She could be so complacent with such a small victory. She stepped hard on the brakes and Year's head hit the back of the seat with a bang. Ye wondered if Jiang Zhao would still want her if she became stupid from the collision. Just as the Honda stepped on the brakes, Qing Su instantly sped up and drove the car to the left. Just as the Honda was trying to avoid the large number of nails in front of it, Qing Su's car had already adjusted its direction amidst the screeching sound of friction. She rushed towards the Honda's driver's seat. The Honda had just put the R into reverse gear when the left door of the driver's seat was slammed shut. At this moment, Qing Su scolded, "Such an expensive car, but it doesn't have an airbag? What a scam." She was originally afraid that the airbag would suffocate her to death, but with such a strong collision, not only did the airbag not suffocate her to death, it did not even open. Her collision was self-destructive. Maybe it was because she had never taken such a risk before, or maybe it was because she was too young. So when she collided with the car, she had no idea that this collision would be fatal for her. Maybe it was because she had never treated her own life as her own. Due to inertia, she used all her strength to charge forward. The airbag did not open, so her ribs collided firmly with the hard steering wheel. Although she felt the danger and used all her strength to support herself, she did not let her body get close to the steering wheel. However, the sudden pain from her ribs still caused blood to gush out of her mouth. The sound of the wind beside her ears became clearer and clearer. It was so clear that she could hear other sounds besides the wind. Her mother was laughing, her mother was singing to her, and the neighbor's child was fighting with her for something. When he couldn't get it, he called her a little bastard without a father. What else was there? Also, her mother said that she had a father. Her father was far away. She heard the sound of water, a loud splash. It was the sound of something heavy falling into the water. Suddenly her eyes seemed to light up. Her mother's flowery dress had fallen into the water. She wanted to pick it up, but she couldn't. Ye was lying in the hospital. The doctor said that his internal injuries were not serious and his bones were not broken. It was just that his joints were dislocated. However, there was a blood clot in his head. Although it wasn't much, it affected the patient's recovery. Qing Su and Ye were staying in the same hospital. They were just next door. Although the person who was kidnapped was Ye, Qing Su's internal organs were injured. 2 of her ribs were broken and pierced into her lungs. Jiang Zhao could hear Min Hongxing crying in the next room almost every day. The people involved were unconscious. No one knew what happened at the time. Min Hongxing only thought that Qing Su had offended someone she shouldn't have. He regretted every day that he had done something evil and implicated his daughter. Because the Qian was hit like that, Min Hongxing thought that it must be an enemy who wanted to kill Qing Su. However, he couldn't figure it out. Who would hate Qing Su so much? It didn't make sense. Qing Su was just an illegitimate daughter. He rarely revealed his love for Qing Su to others. If someone wanted to take revenge, they should be targeting their son. After all, in a wealthy family the male was the master. Qing Su was just a daughter. He suddenly thought of Min Zikai and Lan Chuyue. Usually, the 2 of them didn't like Qing Su and always took the opportunity to humiliate and abuse her. Lan Chuyue once said that she wanted Qing Su to die without a complete body, just like her mother. It would be best if her body couldn't even be found after she died. Only then would she be able to vent her hatred. However, no matter how he interrogated them, his son and wife refused to admit that they had harmed Qing Su. They even swore to do so. The thing that Jiang Zhao couldn't accept the most was that the person who kidnapped Ye actually committed suicide. When the police car chased him to the scene of the incident, he probably heard the police siren and suffered serious internal injuries. He couldn't escape and directly cut his artery. Such a way of death made Jiang Zhao want to chop the corpse into pieces. He checked the car and found that the owner was a boss car. On the day of Ye's accident, the car was stolen. However, when the car was stolen, he was having a rendezvous with a prostitute at a hotel. After a few hours, when he came out and found that the car was gone, he wanted to call the police but didn't know how to say it. He was a man with a family in high city. In a place like a hotel, he was afraid that his wife would ask him the reason for losing the car. If she questioned him carefully, he was afraid that he would spill the beans. His wife was a shrewd woman. For a moment he was conflicted about how to solve the problem. He dilly-dallied until the police came to him at 8 o'clock in the evening. The car was stolen, so the owner's information was useless for Jiang Zhao to find the culprit. The fingerprint comparison came up with nothing. The DNA analysis came up with no leads. Even the identity of the kidnapper, who was obviously not a newbie, couldn't be found. There were a few people who looked similar, but they were all in prison or committing crimes in other cities. Jiang Zhao racked his brains, but he couldn't find anything even if he grew stubble. Although Unwu deliberately didn't pay attention to Yier's matter, he also told himself that he would be at ease and not disturb her. As long as she was living well after a long period of calmness, he might be able to face these things calmly. However, Jiang Zhao knew that he liked Yier. Shi Zhentian knew that he loved Yier deeply, but Qin Rongfang didn't know. That day Unwu happened to be resting at home. Qin Rongfang was looking for Shi Zhentian to play chess. Qin Rongfang didn't know about Yier's accident immediately. He had already been sent to the emergency room. Only then did the director of the hospital call him and tell him that Jiang Zhao was emotionally unstable and that he had to be taken out of the hospital. No one could persuade him, but perhaps Grandpa's words would be useful. Qin Rongfang's phone immediately fell to the ground. Shi Zhentian asked anxiously and Qin Rongfang spoke intermittently. Before the two elders could leave, Unwu had already rushed to the Lu family's house. Unwu rushed to the hospital and pinned Jiang Zhao down with 2 punches. The last time they fought, Jiang Zhao was the one who attacked first, but Unwu used some tricks to make his injuries look more serious. He admitted that his intentions weren't pure. But this time he didn't feel anything except hatred. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 572. He hated himself for being a step too late. He hated Jiang Zhao for not being able to protect Yier even though he had her all to himself. He hated himself for caring so much about the affection of the previous generation. He channeled all his hatred into his fist and punched Jiang Zhao in the face. Jiang Zhao had been in a daze all this time, but he only woke up after being punched twice by Unwu. When he woke up, he condensed all his anger into violence. He also needed to vent. He had to vent or he would go crazy. Unwu's fist came down and he screamed in pain, "Jiang Zhao, why don't you die? What's the difference between you and death?" Jiang Zhao punched Unwu in the face. The whites of his eyes turned red. "Shi Unwu, get the F***ck out of here." If it weren't for Jiang Liqing, Qin Fian, and the others who came forward to pull the two of them apart, there would probably be 2 more hospital beds. Jiang Liqing yelled at Jiang Zhao in the beginning and used his usual style to force Jiang Zhao to go back and rest. Later on, he compromised and tried his best to help Jiang Zhao think of a way to find the murderer. Jiang Zhao insisted in the beginning, but in the end he compromised and took shifts. He didn't do his job properly at work. All day long he tried to find clues from a person who didn't have an arrow to point to. It was like this every day. Another night passed. Jiang Zhao sat by Yier's bedside and slowly combed her hair. With a long sigh, he lowered his head and closed his eyes. He wrapped Yier's hand in his palms and pressed it between his eyebrows. In a low voice he said, "Yunyi, I'm really useless as a husband. It's been more than half a month and I haven't found a single clue. I was too conceited. I thought that no one was smarter than me, that everyone was afraid of me, so I kept defending people everywhere I went. If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have chosen this path. Yunyi, what do you think we should do? When I think about not being able to find that person, I can't eat or sleep. I clearly know that the person who committed suicide wasn't the mastermind. I clearly know, but there's nothing I can do. You must feel that you married the wrong person, a useless man. But I always thought that I was very powerful, so powerful that I could give you the best life, the most stable life." He really wanted to pinch the hand in his palm. If it was before, it would be fine. If it was before, he would pinch her so hard that she would frown. Every day the doctor would say that she was about to wake up, but time could only tick by tick. The second hand had to tick 60 times to pass a minute. The minute hand had to tick 60 times to pass an hour. The hour hand had to tick 24 times to pass a day. He didn't use much strength. He opened his palm and his lips fell on the hand in his palm. He rubbed it gently and repeatedly. His voice was a little hoarse. Yunyi, Xiunwu said that if he found the murderer before I did, he would let me divorce you. He said that I didn't deserve it. He sighed almost inaudibly. This time I didn't fight with him, nor did I quarrel with him. I know his background, although you didn't believe me. So, with one more person looking, one more force. After searching for so many days without any results, I forced Zhuang Yichen to look for him. He also complained incessantly. If Xiunwu can really find him, I have to thank him. I'll introduce a few outstanding girls to him and let him choose. But, divorce? He's dreaming. He only cares about what he says, but he loves to dream. How can anyone snatch my Jiang Zhao's woman? Yunyi, even if you despise me, even if you think that I'm unreliable, I won't let Xiunwu have his way. He can find the murderer, but he can forget about getting the woman. I know that you escaped death this time and hate me so much. But in ancient times, married women have to say to their men, in life, I'm your woman, and in death, I'm your ghost. So, even if you hate me so much, it's useless. Even if Xiunwu really finds the murderer, if you think that he's capable, don't think about divorcing me because you're my woman, and in death, you're also my woman. At this time, Jiang Zhao had completely given up his previous high and mighty attitude. He felt that he was very weak. At a time like this, he even felt that he was very incompetent. But even though he was incompetent, he could still act shamelessly. Even if Yi Er looked down on him because of this matter and felt that he wasn't a reliable person, he didn't care. He wouldn't keep his promise. Promise? What promise? He had never promised Xiunwu anything. Had he? It had always been Xiunwu talking to himself. He had never gone overboard from the beginning to the end. What kind of promise was this? He wasn't a fool. How could he agree to any conditions that others made? Although Yi Er hadn't woken up, he had always listened to the doctor's words. She was fine and was just in a temporary coma. The doctor had already said that it wasn't a big deal. What could have happened? The girl wasn't even 20 years old yet. She was young and strong. She was at the peak of her energy. What could have happened? Although it wasn't appropriate to describe a woman as young and strong, as long as he could describe her as healthy, he didn't care about her gender. Jiang Zhao's calmness disappeared after Qing Su woke up. Min Hongxing rushed out of the ward like a madman and shouted loudly, "Nurse! Nurse! My daughter is awake. She's awake." His voice scared the nurse so much that she ran over and kept blowing air into her mouth to signal Min Hongxing to be gentle. However, Min Hongxing couldn't help but be agitated. He continued to shout foolishly, "What are you shushing for? My daughter is awake. Can't you hear me? Quick, come and take a look." Yi Er's ward was next door. Jiang Zhao was keeping watch by Yi Er's bedside. His urgent and agitated shout stunned Jiang Zhao. "She's awake." Qing Su and Yi Er had been discovered at the same time. He didn't know what had happened at the time, but the car had obviously been hit by Qing Su. He couldn't even tell if Qing Su had deliberately hit Yi Er to cause such serious injuries. Why was it that the person whose lung had been pierced by a rib had woken up, but his wife wasn't? The method he had been using to hypnotize himself didn't work anymore. He shouted from the room next door, "Nurse? My daughter is awake." Jiang Zhao opened the door and shouted, "Nurse? Why is my wife still not awake?" The hospital was quiet at night, and it was a private hospital. All the people staying here were from wealthy families. Although there were only a few wards on this floor, the nurses were all panicking. They couldn't afford to offend any of them. Immediately, the doctors rushed into their respective wards. One group of them started to check on the patients who had woken up, and the other group started to check on the patients who had not woken up. Jiang Zhao had told himself that Yi Er would definitely wake up. The doctor had told him that it would be fine. Yi Er's injuries weren't serious, much lighter than young Miss Lu's. Even Lu Qing Su had woken up, so there was no reason for Yi Er's injuries to not wake up. The room was air-conditioned and Jiang Zhao was feeling hot. He wanted to hear the doctor's explanation. After the doctor checked on Yi Er, he stood up straight and said to Jiang Zhao, "Mayor Jiang, Mrs. Jiang's condition is not bad. Her condition is getting better every day." Jiang Zhao's image and demeanor were completely destroyed after the doctor's explanation. He was an idiot who would believe this bastard who was selling dog skin plasters. He used these words to fool him every day and did not change his style at all. He was very tall, especially for a doctor who was not tall. Both of them were men, but when one of them was pushed against the wall by the other, the difference in strength was obvious. "What did you say to me? You told me that my wife's condition is not bad. Her condition is good?" Jiang Zhao was so angry that he exerted more force. The doctor rolled his eyes. He really wanted to strangle this dog skin plaster to death. If he were to strangle this dog skin plaster to death, he would not be the mayor anymore. The doctor's brain was too hot and he couldn't control himself. How could he control himself? Jiang Zhao, who was told by the doctor every day, woke up. Jiang Zhao, who was told by the doctor every day that she was fine, was in a coma every day. How was he going to cool down? You better give me an explanation. Tell me. Mayor Jiang, let go of me. Let go of me. You are going to kill me. Everyone in the room didn't care about Jiang Zhao's identity. Those who could pull him pulled him, and those who could arm wrestled him. At night, the private hospital was very noisy. The head nurse on duty called the hospital director, and the hospital director called Qin Rongfang. This incident was only resolved when the Qin family arrived. But in another ward, the atmosphere was different. Jiang Zhao and family Min were not on good terms for a long time. After the Yun family's incident, family Min did not contact them. Also, when the Yun family fell, it was because of family Min. Yi was married to Jiang Zhao, and Jiang Zhao was classified as a dangerous person by family Min. That's why even when the incident happened at the same time, the people in the two wards did not contact each other. Min Zikai had wanted to visit Yi many times, but he was chased away by Jiang Zhao. At this time he was caught by Min Hongxing and scolded. He scolded Min Zikai for being a good-for-nothing. His own sister was still lying in bed, and he still had the mood to see whether other people's women were dead or alive. What a good-for-nothing bastard. As long as Min Zikai was scolded, as long as it was because of Qing Su, he would hate this little sister even more. Before this little sister appeared, his father had never been so heartless to him. At this time Qing Su woke up. Min Hongxing did not forget to share his joy with his son. He called Min Zikai to tell him that his sister had woken up. Min Zikai coldly hung up the phone. Min Hongxing's coldness did not dampen his spirits. He continued to ask Qing Su what she wanted to eat. What does she want to drink? Then he asked the nurse if she could eat since she had just woken up. Qing Su did not ask for anything. She only asked, "Where is Sister Yi? Is she okay?" Min Hongxing was slightly displeased. "Why do you care about her?" His face that had just darkened immediately smiled. He was very gentle. "Tell Dad what you want to eat." "Qing Su, do you want to eat some porridge? What flavor do you want to eat?" "Where is Sister Yi?" Min Hongxing knew that this girl's temper was not easy to persuade, so he could only take a step back. "Dad will tell you after you eat something." Qing Su nodded. The patient who had just woken up only drank some porridge. Next door, Min Hongxing's annoying voice kept coming in and out. Even when he asked the servant to prepare porridge, it was as if he wanted everyone on the floor to hear it. Afraid that no one would know that his daughter had woken up, he deliberately opened the door and shouted after the servant had left, "Remember, you must make the porridge thicker. Don't eat oil for the side dishes." Even though he knew that the servant had left, he still opened the door again and shouted, "Prepare a sweet porridge too. Maybe Qing Su likes sweet things. Sweet things will be more energetic." Jiang Zhao was so angry that he wanted to smash something. The person next door was already preparing himself, but his wife showed no signs of waking up. Add Songshu 566. Chapter 573. During this period of time, he had been so neurotic that the whole family had not been able to get a good rest. Earlier, he had caused Grandpa to come to the hospital in the middle of the night. He really felt bad about it, but now that he was hot-headed and mentally unbalanced, he had his old problems again. He wanted to vent his anger on the doctor again. Qin Rongfang immediately pulled Jiang Zhao back. "Zhao Zhao, it's not good for you to be so noisy. Although Yi is unconscious, she is still conscious. This environment is not quiet, so she won't be able to rest well." Qin Rongfang was wearing a jacket with buttons on the lapels. He was thin to begin with, so when he wore a silver-gray jacket embroidered with flowers, he did not look bloated. When it came to Jiang Zhao, he could only pull and persuade him as much as he could. If he really couldn't, he could only pretend to be sick and have a heart attack. Therefore the whole family was counting on him, this old bag of bones, to subdue Jiang Zhao. He was able to subdue Jiang Zhao, but he was only making use of Jiang Zhao's respect and concern for him. However, the nurse who was changing Yi-er's bag unintentionally said, "The moment Miss from the Liu family next door woke up, she didn't ask anything. She just asked, 'Where's Sister Yi-er?' Looks like she has a pretty good relationship with Mrs. Jiang." When Jiang Zhao heard this, he immediately quivered. He walked towards the door, pulled it open and walked out. Although Min Hongxing did not wish to interact with Jiang Zhao, he could not openly oppose him. When Jiang Zhao heard what the nurse, Miss, said, he had the thought of asking Qing Su about what had happened. Qing Su was at the scene, so she would definitely have some clues. However, Min Hongxing did not give Jiang Zhao such a chance. His daughter had just woken up and needed a good rest. Her Yunyi had nothing to do with the family Min. It did not matter whether she was dead or alive. Min Hongxing, go out first. Qing Su was not used to her current state. She looked at Jiang Zhao, who was standing at the end of the bed, and wanted to sit up. However, she could not. Once she moved, her chest would hurt. It was so painful that she, who usually did not complain, frowned and felt terrible. Qing Su. Min Hongxing quickly held down Qing Su, who wanted to move. He had long been used to Qing Su calling him by name. At first he was unhappy and even sad, but later he had no choice but to accept it. Qing Su, you have to rest well now. The doctor said that you must not be agitated. Your lungs. Qing Su nodded and said impatiently, I know, but I've been in a coma for so long that I've become moldy. Just let me have a good time. You should rest early. Don't stay by my side. You must be tired, right? Min Hongxing could hardly believe that this was what Qing Su had said. Especially after that, she actually asked him to rest and asked if he was tired. Seeing Min Hongxing so emotional that he was crying, Qing Su said softly, Dad, go out. Okay. Dad will go out now. Call me if you need anything. Dad will come back when you're done talking to Jiang Zhao. Qing Su said, there are nurses. Go back and sleep. Min Hongxing was overwhelmed by his daughter's sudden concern. He was like a child who was flattered and at a loss. I know. I'll stay by your side and watch over you. Can rest assured. After Min Hongxing went out, Qing Su directly called out Jiang Zhao's name. Jiang Zhao. Xia Qian always felt that she was older than Yi. She called Jiang Zhao because of Yi Er's identity. No matter what, she was still Yi Er's elder sister. She didn't call him brother-in-law because she didn't let him down. But Qing Su was just doing it out of habit. She wasn't good at flattering people, and she wasn't good at pleasing people either. As for Jiang Zhao, he was just Yi Er's husband. She didn't need to respect him by calling him mayor or brother. Yes, what do you know? Jiang Zhao was not sure how he should treat Qing Su. He needed to know what happened to Yi Er from a person who was already conscious. But the prerequisite was that Qing Su was not involved in the kidnapping. Otherwise, his efforts would be in vain. I want to know how Sister Yi Er is doing. My dad did not tell me anything. She is still unconscious. The impact on her head might be quite serious. There is a blood clot and she will not wake up anytime soon. I think she might need surgery. Jiang Zhao's heart softened when he heard Qing Su calling Yi Er's sister. At least, he could hear the concern in Qing Su's voice. Qing Su's brows furrowed. Crash? Yes. Jiang Zhao was still standing at the end of the bed looking down at Qing Su. He did not dare to miss any changes in her emotions. Qing Su suddenly felt guilty and pained. She had good intentions, yet she had caused Yi Er to be in such a miserable state. She took in a long, trembling breath. It's all my fault. When I hit that Honda, I used a lot of force. If I didn't hit the car like that, Yi Er Jie might have been fine. Jiang Zhao's expression changed as he started walking. He didn't think that there was such a coincidence because he had seen the video of the person who kidnapped Yi Er. It was because it wasn't Lu Qing Su that he thought it was a coincidence. But now, Qing Su had admitted it herself. He was thinking Yi Er had not woken up yet, so what right did this wretched girl have to wake up? He walked over to Qing Su's bedside in a few steps. Just as he was about to strangle this wretched girl to death, Qing Su looked up with her doll-like eyes. I was also anxious at the time. Sister Yi Er was in the Honda and did not come out, but I clearly saw her stretching half of her body out of the window. She must have been calling for me. Later on, no matter how I chased after the car, she did not come out. I was very anxious. At first, I thought it was you who was driving, but later on, I realized something was wrong. I was worried that something might have happened to her, so the only thing I could do was to take the man who was driving. Jiang Zhao was very tall. When he bent over, he froze in place. Usually when he was working, he looked handsome even when he bent over. If Yi Er had been here, if Yi Er had been lying in bed, he would have bent over to touch her, hug her, or kiss her. He would have been gentle and affectionate. But now he was frozen in place, not moving at all, as if he had been petrified. Looking at Qing Su, who was full of guilt as she recounted everything that had happened by the river, his eyes reddened and he almost shed tears. No one would be like this. Other than family, they would give up their lives and forget about themselves. If he had been here at the time, he would have chased after her and risked everything to save Yi Er. That would have been the right thing to do. But Qing Su, the 17-year-old Qing Su, he did not know why she had risked her life to save Yi Er. She had even broken her ribs on the steering wheel and pierced her lungs. Fortunately, they had arrived in time that day. Otherwise, how could she have survived? But what was he thinking just now? He was gauging the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. He was suspicious of everyone. Qing Su had just woken up and did not have much energy. Jiang Zhao bent over. She saw that his face was haggard. He looked different from when she had seen him before. His eyes were bloodshot. When he bent over like this, his face hovered above her head. She thought he was acting like this because he could not hear her clearly. And his gaze changed from anger to uneasiness. Did he hate that he could not hear what she was saying? She took a deep breath, wanting to speak louder and clearer. But when she took a deep breath, Yizi felt like her lungs were about to split open. When Jiang Zhao saw that Qing Su could not hide the pain in her eyes and that she was groaning in pain, he reached out to press the bedside bell. Qing Su, do your lungs hurt? Hearing Jiang Zhao's gentle voice, Qing Su nodded and then shook her head. I'm fine. I just need to rest for a while. Qing Su, I owe you a big favor. If you need my help in the future, I will definitely not refuse. Jiang Zhao could not say anything more out of concern. He felt that the best thing he could say now was to make a promise to the person who had saved his wife's life. Because the person who should have had his ribs and lungs broken should have been him. Qing Su and Yi Er were not related in any way. It was only right to repay a drop of kindness. If this were in ancient times, the whole family would have to kneel down and kowtow to thank their savior. What are you saying? Not only did I not save her, but I also caused her to fall into a coma. I've already asked for forgiveness and you still say that. Qing Su's guilt could not be concealed again. When the nurse entered the room, Min Hongxing ran in after her. When he saw his daughter, who he treated as his sweetheart, was in so much pain that her face was sweating. Without saying a word, he pushed away Jiang Zhao, who had just stood up straight. Jiang Zhao did not expect Min Hongxing to do this. He immediately staggered and fell on the accompanying bed next to him. Although his handsome eyebrows were knitted, he did not want to argue with him. Min Hongxing was so angry that his voice was loud and clear. What do you want to do? What did you do to my daughter? Min Hongxing, I used too much strength to breathe. It was Jiang Zhao who called the ambulance for me. Min Hongxing turned his head and saw that Qing Su had already closed her eyes. Clearly, before he went out at that time, his daughter still called him Dad. Now she was only calling his name. He only pushed Jiang Zhao because he was worried that Jiang Zhao had caused her pain. Could it be? Could it be that Qing Su was interested in Jiang Zhao? He stepped back and let the nurse examine Qing Su. At this time he also involuntarily began to size up Jiang Zhao and Qing Su. He secretly thought that Qing Su was 17 years old and was in high school. Although this was the case, it was not that he had not considered finding a good family for her in the future. Although Jiang Zhao was good in all aspects, he did not mind that Jiang Zhao was more than 10 years older than Qing Su. However, he minded that Jiang Zhao had been married before. It was rare that Min Hongxing could actually think of such a constructive problem at this time. It was also when Min Hongxing's brain was unfortunately in a state of paralysis due to the virus that Jiang Zhao left the room. He could not help much here. Compared to the woman in the next room, what he had for Qing Su's pain was also fake concern. He had now become a person who did not even want to pretend to care. He just casually closed the door to make it easier for the nurses to come in and out. He took a shower and went to sleep. Jiang Zhao wondered if he could take a break from work for a while. Recently his mental state was not very good. Although he was staying in the hospital, he still slept on time. There were nurses and nurses in the hospital. He was here purely to make himself feel more at ease. Sleeping in the hospital, he could not fall into a deep sleep and had messy dreams. Perhaps it was because he thought too much during the day and Qing Su woke up today and could even eat. Jiang Zhao could not convince himself to stay calm no matter what. Dreams were always complicated and long, and sometimes they were fragmented. The air was too far away from him. There was a clear but black river in the middle. It should be very deep to become such a color. He saw her standing on the other side of the river and reached out to her. He told her, "If you want a home, I will give you a home. I will give you all the warmth you want. I will treat you well and always treat you well. Come over quickly." Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 574. He felt that his hands were numb and his mouth was dry. The woman on the other side of the river just stood there stiffly, not moving at all. She was wearing the white dress that he had bought for her. Her hair was draped over her shoulders, and when the wind blew, the hem of her skirt and hair swayed gently. Her eyes were dull and she really looked like Xiao Longnu who had stayed in an ancient tomb for a long time. In the face of Yi Er's indifference, Jiang Zhao's temper flared up. He looked at the river in front of him and he couldn't cross it. He shouldn't have asked her to come over. Alright, he would go over. But just as he reached the river and was about to swim over, the woman on the other side spoke. When she spoke, her face was full of pain. I don't love you. I don't love you. Don't come over. Don't come over. Before she even entered the river, it was as if she was drowning. He had said it countless times and he had said it countless times to himself. Anyway, she didn't love him. Anyway, he didn't care. It didn't matter if she didn't love him. Anyway, she could only be with him. He didn't mind those *T feelings and love. It wasn't like he could eat it. It's okay. You can be at ease as Mrs. Jiang. It's okay. Don't feel like you're in pain. I didn't ask you to love me. I don't mind. Don't come over. Let me be at ease. Let me be free. There was no sound on the surface of the river. Her weak voice came from the other side. When it came, it sounded like it came from the water. He couldn't even hear the ups and downs in her words. There were no ups and downs at all. Only her gently furrowed brows told him that she was really in pain. That kind of pain spread from her eyes to her eyebrows, and then slowly flowed to her entire body. That kind of sadness and pain seemed to have suddenly come from hell. It turned blood red and flowed all over her body. He watched helplessly as her white dress was dyed a bright red from the pain. It was on her arms, face and everywhere. He jumped into the river and swam towards her. He thought that even if he tortured each other with her, even if she struggled in pain until her entire body was covered in blood, he would not let go. It did not matter if it was dyed red. There was a river here, he would wash her clean. Suddenly, there seemed to be many seaweeds growing in the river. The seaweeds swayed their waists in the water and reached out their slender hands, trying to grab his legs. At this time, he only cared about using brute force to swim to the other side. The seaweeds that wrapped around his ankles were pulled apart by him every time. His eyes were above the water, watching the woman in blood slowly turn around without any reluctance. More and more seaweed grew on his legs and he could no longer kick them. The things in front of him turned into fish, prawns and black seaweed. He flipped over and looked up. Some sunlight pierced through the water surface. He looked at the sun on the water surface, and it was divided into many pieces. The clear river water slowly turned red from the shore. Their breaths were accompanied by large bubbles coming out of their mouths as they sank deeper into the water. Suddenly he felt something fall from the river and the water pressure around him changed. He suddenly opened his eyes. The person who fell from the shore was blood red. She was immersed in the water and her dress slowly turned white. The redness on her face and hands also slowly faded. However, her eyes were empty. She looked in his direction as if she had been freed from the pain. She sank even faster than him. The white dress in the water puffed up, like a cloud floating in the sky. Yun Yi. He called out to her, but his mouth was full of bubbles. There was no sound, only bubbles appearing and disappearing. He wanted to swim over with all his might. He bent down and pulled the seaweed on his legs. He thought that she was going to die. He thought that he was going to die too. If that was really the case, it would be good to die together with her. He didn't expect that the urge to die together would be so strong. When he stretched his limbs and swam over, the seaweed seemed to open a path for him. However, when he hugged his woman, he became greedy again. What was so good about dying? He wouldn't feel anything if he died. It was better to live together. However, he was exhausted. It was a little strenuous to carry the woman who had no strength at all. When he was about to reach the water surface, he couldn't swim anymore. He thought that he should let her go out to the water surface to take a breath. He lifted her up, but he was sinking. Suddenly, he saw her jump out of the water like a fish and swim further and further away from him. He thought that she must have been freed. Some people said that you couldn't see the tears of a fish because the fish lived in the water. She left and didn't even look back. She definitely couldn't see him. Even if she turned back, she definitely couldn't see him because he was in the water. ****. The southern home was a small high-rise duplex. Jolie lived here. She got out of bed and started washing up and putting on makeup. There was another man sleeping on the bed. It was Yuan Shichang. Yuan Shichang asked as he put on his clothes, "It's so early. Where are you going shopping?" Jolie reached out her fair and tender hands and patted the moisturizer on her face. "No, who's shopping every day? I'm going to the hospital to see Yi Er today." The latter half of her sentence was a little cold. Yuan Shichang threw the tie in his hand and said loudly, "Didn't I say? You're not allowed to go." Jolie didn't take Yuan Shichang's violence seriously. She squeezed some lotion on the back of her hand and rubbed it on her face bit by bit. As she rubbed, she gently patted it with her fingertips and rolled her eyes at the man in the mirror. Why do you care? Don't bother about my business. I have to go to the hospital today no matter what. When Yi Er was in trouble, Jiang Zhao already called to inform me that you didn't allow me to go. The more I think about it these past few days, the more I feel that something is wrong. Jiang Zhao didn't even call me after the incident. I called Yun Hongwei to talk to Si Jia, but Si Jia ignored me. How can there be someone like you in this world? Yi Er is my biological daughter. Shouldn't I go and see her at this time? Jolie sniffled and pulled out another tissue. She closed her eyes and pressed the tissue against her face, wetting a small patch. Crying? What did I say? You promised to cut off all ties with those annoying people in the Yun family if you were to be with me. You promised and now you're regretting it. Jolie threw away the tissue in her hand and raised her chin. She looked at herself in the mirror and began to apply foundation. Yes, I regret it. I want to see Yi Er. You can do whatever you want. Yuan Shichang was already used to Jolie's temperament that changed her mind from time to time. Anyway, he couldn't force her. He turned around and picked up the tie that he had thrown on the bed and tied it. Go and see her. Go and see if she has tubes all over her body. You'd better help her and let her see the King of Hell. It's better if she sees the King of Hell. That way it'll be easy for you to get custody of Si Jia. I don't believe that Jiang Zhao will care about a dead person's brother and father. Yun Hongwei can only continue to go to jail. Just as he finished speaking, Jolie smashed the foundation bottle in her hand hard on the back of Yuan Shichang's head with a bang. Yuan Shichang turned around in pain and saw that Jolie had already stood up and turned to face him. She glared at him with an angry expression. Yuan Shichang, how many times have I told you not to talk about Yi Er? You actually have such bad intentions. Jolie, don't be ungrateful. Everything you eat and use belongs to me, Yuan Shichang. Yes, fortunately this house is under my name. Get out of here right now. When Yuan Shichang saw that Jolie was serious, he clenched his fists and stopped being angry. Okay, I was wrong. I shouldn't have talked about your daughter. If you want to see her, then go. This should be fine, right? Just go home early. Jolie turned around and sat down to continue tidying up and putting on makeup. Yuan Shichang reached out and touched the back of his head. There was actually a big bump. This damned woman was really heavy-handed. Jiang Zhao felt as if he had been tied up by seaweed again. He couldn't move at all. He kept looking at the sun above his head. The light was not glaring at all. It was peaceful and serene. The bubbles in his mouth changed from big bubbles to small bubbles that he couldn't see clearly. He only knew that it was difficult for him to move his chest. Jolie entered the ward and saw that Jiang Zhao was sleeping with his head covered. She did not feel that there was anything worth avoiding. She wanted to ask about Yi Er's situation, so she pulled away Jiang Zhao's blanket. When she pulled it away, she saw that his face was covered in sweat. There were even water stains at the corners of his eyes. His face was a little pale. She was shocked. She quickly pushed him a few times. Jiang Zhao, are you sick? Next to them was her daughter's bed. There were no tubes all over her body like Yuan Shichang had said. There were only bags of fluids. Her son-in-law was sleeping on the side bed. His face was pale as if he was seriously ill. Her heart was being squeezed. After Jiang Zhao was pushed awake, he sat up. His eyes looked in Jolie's direction, but his gaze seemed to penetrate Jolie and look further away. Suddenly he remembered the dream and lifted the blanket. Where's Yun Yi? Jolie was puzzled. She's on the hospital bed. Jiang Zhao stopped preparing to put on his shoes and looked at the person lying motionless on the hospital bed. His face was wet with sweat and his eyes were slightly red. Thinking about the dream, his body suddenly trembled. Before he could put his feet into his shoes, he took 2 steps to the bedside. He reached out and touched her nose. Her breathing was even. It seemed like she was still dreaming. He heaved a sigh of relief. What flashed in front of his eyes was her sad and painful expression. It was still those weak words. She said that she did not want him. His mind was still thinking about the silk dress that had turned blood red. He watched her collapse. She said that she wanted to be free. He started to breathe heavily again, panting heavily. It was clearly just a dream, but the pain in his heart was unbearable. He had heard of some cases where patients with serious illnesses did not want to receive treatment anymore because they could no longer bear the pain caused by treatment. Those people wanted to be free all the time. They wanted to go to heaven where they could be free without drugs or machines. Was this dream given to him by Yi Er? But the doctor said that she was fine. She was only in a temporary coma. The doctor said that everything was fine. Until now, she had not undergone any major treatment. The doctor also said that the blood clot in her head did not necessarily require surgery. It could be treated with physical therapy. He did not let her suffer a lot. He also could not bear for her to suffer. What did she mean by free? He reached out and touched the four-bag by her bedside. It was full again. The nurse must have asked the nurse to come and change it in the middle of the night. He traced the four-bag down and touched the roller to slow down the drip. He wanted to give her less pain. Other than this, he did not know how to reduce her pain. Perhaps she was really like what Grandpa said. She was conscious. She needed to rest. He did not know where the needle hole on the back of his hand was. She must have felt it. Jiang Zhao, don't cry. Yer will be fine. Jolie was a little angry at Jiang Zhao for not calling her. Later she realized that his gaze was always on things related to Yer. She did not know where his mind had wandered. She just kept crying and did not make a sound. Jiang Zhao was stunned by Jolie's call. When he came back to his senses, he saw that Jolie was very blurry. He reached out and touched his face. He did not know if it was sweat or tears. Awesome novel Xinwu 799. Chapter 575. Jiang Zhao, Yer will be fine. Jiang Zhao did not feel that he had lost his composure. He did not even glance at the radiant Jolie and coldly replied, "Okay." She turned her back, bent over, and wiped her tears on the blanket that Yer was covering. She said angrily, "I'm wearing such an expensive suit and yet I'm wiping your tears on your blanket. You're lucky that I'm wiping my tears on your blanket." It was as if Yer was still awake at this moment. They were usually like this and could not help but say some nasty things. Jiang Zhao's indifference towards Jolie was not intentional. He really did not take Jolie seriously. In the beginning he called Jolie and told her about Yer's situation. Jolie agreed to come over to take a look, but she did not even respond. He called again to confirm, but in the end she simply said that she had something to do. Forget it. It was good that she did not have a mother. He did not have to worry so much. In the future he would persuade Yer not to care about these things. With his father and brother around he would still feel like a family. How could this woman, Jolie, be a woman who could give others warmth? "Jiang Zhao, I'm here to see Yer." At this moment, Jolie felt that when Jiang Zhao did not respect her, she was actually inferior to a guest standing here. "Okay, you see she's still sleeping. When she wakes up another day I'll call you." Jiang Zhao leaned over Yer weakly. He really wanted to throw her into the bathtub and give her a good bath. Jolie was furious. When Yer was awake in the past, Jiang Zhao would call her mom hypocritically. Now not only did he ask her to leave, but he also directly used the word you instead. Jolie only appeared after such a long time. In Jiang Zhao's eyes, it was only because of Si Jie's custody rights. It really did not make him feel good. His mood was bad enough, really bad. If Jolie continued to stay here, he was afraid that he would have to vent all the emotions that he had suppressed during this period of time. Because his family was always worried that he would be in a bad mood, they tolerated him, making him feel embarrassed to lose his temper at them. "Brother." Qin Fian came in from the open door. When he saw Jolie he only called Jiang Zhao. Qin Fian had heard about Jolie's custody rights from Jiang Zhao, so it was natural that his impression of Jolie was not good. "Fian." Jiang Zhao sat up and turned. "Brother, let's go. Uncle Wu has arranged for people to guard here. I'll send you to the building." After Yer's accident, Qin Fian or Zhuahao sent Jiang Zhao to work every day. They took turns telling him new things on the way to work. As usual, Jiang Zhao went to the bathroom to wash his face, brush his teeth and shave. When he returned to the room he faintly said to Jolie, "Mom, I want to change my clothes. There is no private changing room in the ward, so it's not very convenient." At this time he called Mom, but the meaning was even more obvious. Jolie was embarrassed. Qin Fian pushed up his glasses and did not call anyone. He only pursed his lips and gave a forced smile. After Jolie left, Jiang Zhao took off his pajamas and threw them on the bed. He took out his suit, shirt and sweater from the wardrobe and put them on one by one. Qin Fian helped Jiang Zhao straighten the back of his shirt collar and raised it slightly. "You are very heartless, even chasing your mother-in-law away. You are very understanding." Jiang Zhao looked down at the front of his shirt, buttoned it and smiled. "Of course. Why don't you commit incest with me?" Normally, Qin Fian would only tell Jiang Zhao that he did not commit incest. Recently, in order to make Jiang Zhao happy, he had done a lot of things to himself for Jiang Zhao. "Don't say it so loudly. Be careful that your sister-in-law finds out. Later she will insert the needle in her arm into your hand and make you give her an 4 drip. Sigh, if you are willing to do this, then I can only be willing to be tormented by you. Qin Fian took Jiang Zhao's briefcase and sat on the table by the window. Zhou Li came, but you didn't let her accompany sister-in-law. You chased her away just like that. I'm afraid she is sad. Sad. Jiang Zhao looked at the mirror outside the wardrobe and put the tie around his neck. He raised his head and looked at himself in the mirror. He snorted. It would have been better if he didn't say this, but now that he said this, he was furious. She will be sad? Does she look like she's sad? I seriously suspect that she gave birth to Yi Er when she was underage. Look at her now. She clearly looks like a woman in her 30s. When she gave birth to Yi Er, she must have been so young that she didn't know anything. Otherwise, when Yi Er was lying on the bed like this, I actually couldn't see any love in her eyes. Your beauty, you and my sister Zhen are examples of women who don't care about their families, but are they the same as her? No matter how much they don't care about their families, they still love their children, right? Sigh, now that you mention it, I suddenly feel that Beauty You is exceptionally cute and likable. Of course, although they didn't care about us since we were young, when did they not rush back from afar at critical moments? Although sometimes we say that it's annoying, aren't we quite happy in our hearts? But look at Jolie. How old was Yi Er when my father-in-law had an accident? She dared to disappear without a trace and leave a mess to Yi Er. If it were anyone else, I'm afraid I would have kicked them. Don't be so angry. Qin Fian placed his briefcase on his desk and walked behind Jiang Zhao. He tugged at the hem of his suit. After all, she's your mother-in-law. What kind of mother-in-law is she? Calling her mom is already giving Yi Er 10,000% of face. I can't possibly keep her here. You didn't see it. Every time she sees Yi Er, she makes Yi Er so anxious that she cries. I can't casually throw the person on the hospital bed to her to agitate her. What if she starts drugging Yi Er the moment I leave? I have to be on guard against this kind of thing. It was only when he saw the helper at home coming over that Jiang Zhao gave Yi Er a kiss and followed Qin Fian out of the ward. After getting into the car, Jiang Zhao said, Fian, you actually don't have to send me off. I can get Lu Cheng to pick me up. Qin Fian handed Jiang Zhao the breakfast in a thermos that they brought from home. Have some porridge. Today's porridge is made with red beans. Uncle Wu said that you should eat some red bean porridge in the morning. He didn't agree to let Lu Cheng pick Jiang Zhao up. After all, Lu Cheng was an outsider. He always knew that Jiang Zhao was very guarded against outsiders. How could he be as relaxed as him and Zhua Hao picking him up? When he was with them, Jiang Zhao would still joke around. If he was with his colleagues, he would probably be even more depressed. Grandfather had reminded him many times that he must not let Jiang Zhao be depressed. Aunt and uncle would always thank him and Zhua Hao. They said that it was good that they had so many brothers. If there was anything, everyone could help. Actually, in private, the elders all complained about Yi Er. It was just that they ran into a wall with Jiang Zhao, so they didn't mention it again. Jiang Zhao wouldn't reject the good intentions of the family. He knew that everyone seemed to be going on with their lives normally, but they were all taking care of his feelings. They just didn't want him to feel burdened if he found out. Opening the lid, Qin Fian started driving. Jiang Zhao began to eat porridge and side dishes. The red beans must have been soaked for an entire night. The beans melted in his mouth very quickly. The diced radish was Jiang Zhao's favorite side dish to eat with porridge. The Qin family's mother would make a big bowl of it every year. The diced radish made a crisp sound in his mouth when he bit it. Qin Fian had been driving slowly. In addition, it was in the morning, so he couldn't go faster even if he wanted to. Jiang Zhao had developed a habit of eating in the car every day. Qin Fian glanced at the man in the passenger's seat at the red light. He was really sloppy and scared. If it were in the past, even if you beat him to death, he wouldn't eat in the car no matter how busy he was. Jiang Zhao cared a lot about his image. Now he didn't care about it at all. Jiang Zhao never ate in the ward. The Qin family would send food to him. Otherwise, he would eat in the car on the way to work. If it was lunch break, he would eat in the lounge. Actually, he didn't deliberately test Jiang Zhao's weakness. It was just that when he sent breakfast to Jiang Zhao to eat in the room that day, he was rejected. After that, he quarreled with Jiang Zhao. In the end, Jiang Zhao's eyes were a little red. He softly choked and said, "In the past, when your sister-in-law was by my side, we would eat together. If she had some awareness and knew that I was eating alone and didn't let her eat, she would be very sad." From then on, Qin Fian didn't bring breakfast upstairs anymore. He just threw it in the car. After getting in the car, he drove alone and ate breakfast alone. After Jiang Zhao finished his breakfast, he closed the lid and put the thermos on the back seat to save space. He wiped his mouth with a tissue and threw it into a small paper bag in the car door. Fian, last time I told you about the coastline, did you pay attention to it? Qin Fian nodded. Yes. Recently, the coastline has been causing trouble. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Jiang Zhao leaned back and stretched his back. He hadn't exercised in a long time and felt that his back was very tired. What else do you know? Qin Fian knew that Jiang Zhao wouldn't tell him this for no reason. When he glanced over, he just happened to catch a glimpse of the man in the front passenger seat. His handsome face was solemn. He knew that he must have some secrets. His devilish face gently curved into a smile. The hand holding the steering wheel tapped lightly as he searched for all the information he knew. Zhuang Yifeng is probably at a disadvantage this time. Now there's a wave of cancellations. Although his uncle helped him with the loan, if this matter gets out of hand, his uncle will also be affected. Moreover, the coastline is quite big. It's almost equivalent to the sum of the buildings he built in the past. If this matter really gets out of hand, I'm afraid he can only auction the coastline. Qin Fian's tone was somewhat gloating. What do you think of this matter? Jiang Zhao crossed his arms and tilted his head, looking at Qin Fian with a sharp gaze. Me? Ah. Qin Fian listened to Jiang Zhao's questions. He suddenly felt that although the incident with Yi Er was a big blow to Jiang Zhao, this guy's perception of the outside world was still very high. You want to eat it? Jiang Zhao's eyebrows were like knives filled with a cold aura. Add Xingwu 799. Chapter 576. Brother, you're so smart. I wanted to give you a surprise. Qin Fian smiled shamelessly. The coastline is in a good location. I've also checked the foundation of the building and the construction of the building. It's not a shoddy construction. Not only that, it's also considered a very good real estate project. So I think it's a good deal for me to buy it. Fian, you can't eat this plate. Because Yi Chen wants this plate? Qin Fian's voice was slightly stiff. This was not his usual attitude. It was not casual and unruly enough. The too serious Qin Fian was not suitable for such a flashy outfit. Although he was wearing a gray checkered suit, he wore a fruit green sweater which made the gray a bright color. He knew that Zhuang Yichen and Zhuang Yichen had always been at odds with each other. The two brothers had been fighting for many years. As long as it was something that belonged to Zhuang Yichen would want to buy it. However, business was always about maximizing profits. There was no reason for him to give up such a big piece of fat meat. Besides, if it was an auction, it would be a fair competition. He always knew that Zhuang Yichen and Jiang Zhao had always been on good terms. Could it be that Jiang Zhao wanted to help Zhuang Yichen? Jiang Zhao said, "There's a big problem with this plate now. If you get it, I'm afraid you won't be able to clean up your mess in the future. Zhuang Yichen knows that you want this plate. He won't fight with you. But if you buy this plate now, not only will you give Zhuang Yichen a chance to make a comeback, you'll also spend more money. Why bother? Zhuang Yichen already wants to auction it now?" Qin Fian did not expect things to turn out this way. His information was considered rather secretive. He did not expect Zhuang Yifeng to already be thinking about the auction. The Zhuang family could not hold on anymore? Jiang Zhao nodded. Right now, his uncle is already under investigation. This plate is related to the secret connections of many government officials. Zhuang Yifeng couldn't have set up such a big plate on his own. Whether it's the supervisor or the planning department, everything is involved. If you take over this plate so quickly, that nest of wolf feces might stain your body. If you want to stain it, wait for me and Zhuang Yichen to clean it up before you do it. Otherwise, you won't even be able to spit it out when the time comes. Qin Fian was driving. Brother, why are you only telling me now? I never thought that you would be interested in Zhuang Yifeng's things. After all, you always knew that Yi Chen had always wanted to snatch Zhuang Yifeng's things. Yi Chen came to me about this matter. He said that he didn't want to get you into trouble because of his family matters. Regarding this matter, you should bide your time and not make a move first. Okay. Qin Fian licked his lips. Brother, do you need my help with Yi Chen's matter? Jiang Zhao shook his head. Don't butt in. I can't quit even if I want to. His matters are really King nerve-wracking. Because I was careless in making friends with him. I have to be careful about everything when dealing with his matters. It's fortunate that he has enough perseverance and ruthlessness. Otherwise, a bunch of bad guys would rush out and tear me into pieces. Qin Fian knew that Jiang Zhao was deliberately exaggerating, so he played along and said, "You can just cut ties with him." Yeah, I have the same idea. Then I'll wait for him to report me and say that I'm in cahoots with his official business. So he's so sinister. Ah. Ah, that's why I'll only set him up. Otherwise I'll be at a loss. Qin Fian thought to himself, next time before I do something big I'll have to discuss it with Jiang Zhao. Most of the information that I have came from this building. I wanted to make a big profit but I almost got myself into trouble. Brother, when are you going to give me some benefits as a driver? Benefits? You still want that piece of land in 326? That piece of land was not only a thorn in Qin Fian's heart, it was also a thorn in Jiang Zhao's heart. He knew that Shi Yunwu was a person who knew how to hide, but after all he was only 20 years old. He probably inherited Shi Jintian's ruthlessness, or else he wouldn't have been able to tolerate it so well. However, he was so good at running a business. He had only been in Sea City for less than 3 years, and even when he was working at Shi Empire he was a slacker. It was only a few months ago that he officially joined the Qin group. Once he got in he was already familiar with the hidden rules of China's government. He easily made connections and got that piece of land in 326 at a cheap price. After that, a series of people were fired and interrogated, but none of them dragged Shi Empire into it. They only said that there was a problem with their data when they were doing the report. When it came to data, it was possible for one person to make a mistake, but how was it possible for all of them to make a mistake? Based on his methods, it was possible that he could turn a piece of land into the king of the land. He was not to be underestimated. Qin Fian waved his hands and placed them back on the steering wheel. I'm not going to think about it anymore. The Shi family has taken it, so what else can I think about? Even if it's not the Shi family, it's a done deal, so it's pointless for me to think about it. Have I been having a bad year these past few months? Everything seems to go wrong. Ever since I took over the Qin group, I haven't been as unlucky as I have been these past few months. I don't even know what I'm asking for. People in business like to worship the Lord Guan Yu, so naturally they were superstitious. There were many superstitions among government officials as well. Jiang Zhao thought about it and it did make sense. Fei Yin had always been a smart person. Fei Yin had mentioned that he wanted to buy that piece of land in 326 after the subway changed its route. Initially he wanted to buy it for a cheap price to build a hotel, but then there was Shi Yunwa's conspiracy, so he was unable to buy it. The shoreline was a good place, but due to the complicated relationships between government officials and businessmen, he had to give it up. Fei Yin, why don't you go to Hong Kong and find a fortune teller? There's an 80% chance that something is wrong. Jiang Zhao paused. When the time comes I'll go with you. I don't think things are going well for me either. Qin Fian nodded in agreement. Okay, when sister-in-law wakes up we'll go together. After sending Jiang Zhao to the government office building, he turned around and left. As soon as Jiang Zhao arrived at the office, Lu Qing came over and said, Boss, Dean Shin from the Procuratorate came looking for you. He's still in the lounge. I wanted to give you a call but he said there was no need. He also said. Lu Qing stopped and smiled. Jiang Zhao was not in the mood to joke around. Joking with Fei Yin was a different matter. It was just to comfort a family member. What else did he say? Lu Qing shook his head and smiled helplessly. He said, since you're on time for work, if you dare to be late, he'll report you. He'll say you didn't show up or left your post without permission. When Jiang Zhao heard this, he couldn't help but laugh. I'll go invite him myself. Who knew that as soon as he said this, the office door was pushed open. Shin Kai was in a suit. When he saw Jiang Zhao, he smiled rudely and said, Invite what? I'm here to catch the party atmosphere. Yo, I'm not late? Looks like if I want to extort you, I'll have to work a bit harder. Beauty novel Xinwu 799. Chapter 577. It's rare for Shin Kai to be so carefree when he enters the mayor's office. Jiang Zhao raised his eyebrows and said to Lu Qing, Help me pour a cup of coffee for Mr. Shin. Lu Qing turned to Shin Kai, who had entered the office and was sitting on the sofa. Mr. Shin, do you want tea or coffee? Coffee. Your boss is too honest. That tea must be the 10 renminbi Qting tea. I don't want to drink it. Jiang Zhao smiled. Qting tea is very good. It's detoxifying. Shin Kai immediately shook his head and said, That won't do. I still have to keep the poison and fight poison with poison. Ah. Lu Qing placed the coffee on the coffee table in front of Shin Kai and left. Shin Kai shrugged. Why did you come to work so early? It's not good to be so strict. You should give your subordinates a chance. If not, it will be too difficult for them to get promoted. You need to give this seat to them. Jiang Zhao walked to the reception area and took the cup of tea that Lu Qing had brewed for him. He sat opposite Shin Kai and said, I will move my seat. You can go upstairs and find an empty seat for me. Ah. You can't just pull me down and let you sit up. It's hard to say. Shin Kai raised his eyebrows confidently. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smirk. He said the two words slowly. At this time he held the coffee on the table in his hand. The tip of his nose wandered above the thick white porcelain cup. His eyelashes drooped, and his gaze fell on the white smoke curling up from the coffee. He inhaled and took a sip with enjoyment. He couldn't help but praise, "Very good coffee. Where did these beans come from? If it were made by a better coffee maker, I'm afraid the taste would be even richer." After saying that, Shin Kai took another sip. Jiang Zhao knew Shin Kai was trying to change the topic. "Grandpa's friend gave it to him. I don't even know who gave it to him. Grandpa doesn't drink coffee, so he gave it to us. If you like it, you can have it. I usually drink a lot of tea." That's not good. But I know you don't drink coffee. It's not like I am taking it away from you." Jiang Zhao nodded. "When did you become so polite? It's not like you." "I can't help it. I've been in this circle for a while and I've forgotten that I don't need to be polite with you." Then I'll take all of your beans away, not leaving a single one behind. Don't tell others that I robbed you." "Oh, you are getting more and more powerful. Are you still afraid of people calling you a bandit?" Don't mention what happened in the past. Don't mention it." After Shin Kai finished a cup of coffee, Jiang Zhao didn't ask him why he was here. They just had a simple chat. Shin Kai asked, "Are you really calm or are you just pretending?" You didn't hear anything?" Jiang Zhao's eyes narrowed slightly as he asked, "What rumor?" Shin Kai placed both his hands on his knees, his 10 fingers drumming on his knees without any rhyme or reason. Right now, Yun Shicheng's case has been brought up again and the higher-ups are paying attention to it. Furthermore, I specifically went to find out more about it and someone handed over the information. Yun Shicheng's parole for medical treatment is more or less complete and his body has already recovered. Furthermore, the government's authoritative hospital will conduct an examination on his body. Furthermore, the matters of his previous business dealings have all been dug up. In business, how many of them are pure and simple? More or less, they will interact with each other. Otherwise, how can they survive? I feel that someone wants to kill him. You really didn't hear anything about this? Jiang Zhao's eyes narrowed again. Then his brows furrowed. His originally relaxed posture became somewhat stiff. The things that appeared in his mind slowly emerged. I really didn't hear anything. You came to tell me about this, so I don't need to hide it from you. His thoughts were in a mess, but he still tried to organize them. He added, and you also know that the functions of the prosecutor's office are different from ours. On the surface, you guys are above the government, so it's normal that you know many things, but I don't. What's more, this matter is related to my father-in-law. It's clear that someone is avoiding my line of sight to do this. How could I have known this information in the first place? Shin Kai nodded, but he couldn't help but joke. You say that the prosecutor's office is amazing, but aren't they still enslaved by you guys? They are restricted everywhere. Jiang Zhao said. China's characteristics are currently at this stage. You and I can't change it. We can only adapt. How far has my father-in-law's case gone? Is it convenient for you to tell me? When Jiang Zhao asked this question, he was still very cautious. The prosecutor's office was not like other agencies. Many things were classified as confidential. His political status was also here. If Shin Kai clearly wanted to help him, naturally he didn't have to worry. What if he set him up? If he asked about some of the prosecutor's office's secrets, wouldn't he be looking for trouble for himself? You're still so guarded against people. If I didn't plan to tell you, would there be any point in coming here early in the morning and failing to extort you? Shin Kai said unhappily. I'm not being guarded. I'm just afraid that it'll be difficult for you. Shin Kai shrugged and looked like he didn't care. What's difficult about it? Everyone is mutually beneficial. There's no such thing as difficult or not. I don't think I'm a good public servant and I don't think you are either. We're just using these resources to benefit our families. At the same time, we're also using these resources to benefit the people of High City. The biggest advantage is that we're not considered heartless officials. At the very least, we're in our positions and have done our jobs. So it's more convenient to tell you some things. You're also very easy to understand. Jiang Zhao admired Shin Kai's straightforwardness. However, Shin Kai wasn't someone who was like this to everyone. He would only negotiate with you as quickly as possible when he had a clear understanding of the other party's trump card. This was because there was no need to probe too much. Shin Kai was a person who had very sharp eyes and was very efficient in doing things. Jiang Zhao asked, Is there any way to salvage the situation? The hospital Yi Er was in was a high-end private hospital, so the servants were sometimes a little relaxed. After all, what could happen in a place like this? Everything has a meter display. His mother was sleepy at noon, so she lay on the table by the window to sleep. Not long after, she fell asleep. The door of the ward wasn't locked from the inside. A nurse in a pink nurse's uniform lowered her head and pushed a trolley into the room. This nurse looked taller than the average nurse. Although she was thin, her frame wasn't small. Her facial features were a little stiff and she looked a little awkward. The two-tiered trolley stopped at the head of Yi Er's bed. The nurse glanced at the 4 bag. Although there was still half a bag of 4 fluid left, she removed the 4 bag with a cold look in her eyes. She placed the remaining 4 bag on a white porcelain tray in the trolley and hung the 4 bag from the other tray on the tray. After hanging the 4 bag, she looked at the woman lying on the bed, whose eyelashes didn't move at all. The corners of her mouth curled up ferociously. She reached out and touched the rollers to adjust the flow to the maximum. Then she turned around indifferently and pushed the trolley out of the ward. His father was woken up by a series of clanking sounds. When he woke up, he rubbed his eyes. What's that sound? Then he heard someone vomiting. It sounded like someone was in pain. When he turned around and found the source of the sound, he was scared half to death. Yi Er's eyes were closed. Her face was covered in fine beads of sweat. She kept vomiting and convulsing. What came out of her mouth was sticky white fluid. The fluid flowed down her cheeks and chin. Her hair and neck were all wet. There was also a large wet patch on her pillow. Her body probably moved because of the movement from vomiting. The 4 stand beside her had fallen over. The needle on the back of her hand was bleeding. Her hand was hanging by the side of the bed. Blood dripped down. It was just a needle hole. Why was there so much blood? Was the wound strained by the needle? She quickly ran over to get a towel to clean up the vomit. As she shouted for the nurse, she took out her phone and called Jiang Zhao. When she called, she was trembling in fear. She knew that Jiang Zhao probably wanted to kill someone. Her voice trembled and sounded like she was about to cry. Young Master Zhao, it's bad. It's bad. Young madam is in big trouble. Jiang Zhao was talking to Shinkai when his phone rang. He looked at the number and raised his phone gently. He said to Shinkai, I'll take this call first. Shinkai raised his hand and said, It's okay. You take it first. When the call was picked up, it was the familiar voice of his mother, but she was already crying. Young Master Zhao, it's bad. It's bad. Young madam is in big trouble. She's vomiting and convulsing. He just told Shinkai that it was an emergency and ran out of the building. He went straight to the parking lot to get his car and rushed onto the road. As he drove, he called to ask about the situation. How long had he been gone? His hands held the steering wheel as if he was holding the neck of his mother. He always told them to be careful. How could she be so careless when she went to sleep without informing the nurse? A mother who had served the Qin family for 20 years was actually so careless. A person who was already unconscious was sent to the emergency room again. What kind of F***king life was this? Was this still a life for humans? He sucked in a long, trembling breath with all his might. You're the F***king jinx in my life. You were born just to subdue me. Can't you just let me live in peace for a single day? Of all the people you could drug, you had to find me. Of all the people you could find to sleep with, you had to find me. I owed you in my past life. I F***king owe you. After he finished cursing, he punched the steering wheel hard. The loudspeaker raised its head to the sky and let out a long cry, expressing its owner's grief and anger. He owed her. That was why she tortured him like this. She tortured him so much that he wished he had never known her. If he had never known her, he wouldn't have to live in fear all day long. If he hadn't known her, he wouldn't have to be like this. He couldn't calm down and do anything. He was still so young. He could already see the end of his career. It was all because of her. She dragged down her family alone and almost dragged him down. But she was already about to drag him down, and he still F***king went to the dark side to solve a bunch of problems in her family. He owed her. That was why he was so stupid as to willingly jump into her fire pit. Now that he was burning all over, he still F***king refused to come out of the fire pit. He was already so miserable, but she still couldn't lie down properly. What did she want to do? She wanted to torture him until he went crazy. She would be satisfied. This D***mn woman. She would never let him have peace of mind. Jiang Zhao sniffed. He didn't care about the traffic lights. God must be joking with him. A person who only relied on nutrient solutions to stay alive was still in the emergency room? What a joke. He was already like this. Why was he still in the emergency room? He punched the steering wheel again. Just then, a pedestrian crossed the zebra crossing. Hearing the horn, he immediately retracted his foot that was about to run the red light. Jiang Zhao drove the car and rushed over the zebra crossing. He spat, "Are you colorblind? You don't even look at the traffic lights? You're courting death." The car drove into the outpatient clinic building. He didn't park in the parking lot. He left it at the entrance and rushed into the building. He pressed the elevator. 4th floor, emergency room. When the old lady saw Jiang Zhao running over, she immediately cried. She didn't have much feelings for Yi Er, but she had watched Jiang Zhao grow up. At this time, she cried out of fear and her heart ached for Jiang Zhao's appearance. He clearly looked meticulous, but no matter how you looked at him, he looked disheveled. Her tears gushed out. Young Master Zhao, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Jiang Zhao rushed to the emergency room door and asked the nurse at the door, "How is it?" "The doctor is not out yet. He still doesn't know the situation." When he heard this, he vented all his anger on the nurse, who had been taking care of him since he was a teenager. His voice was like a fire burning in his throat. "You don't know the situation? If you don't know the situation, why don't you go in and ask? Why are you still standing here?" "Mayor Jiang, lower your voice." The nurse was scolded by Jiang Zhao, and she could only persuade him softly. Qin Zhen and Qin Fian arrived one after another. The Qin family's old lady's status was not low, and the Qin family had always respected the servants. But Qin Zhen could not help but scold her. "Xiaoli, you have been working for the Qin family for more than 20 years. How can you be so foolish? Have you forgotten your responsibilities?" The old lady was in her 40s, but she looked much older than Qin Zhen. She must be very tired. "I also don't know why I felt so sleepy today. I am not used to taking afternoon naps in the past. Actually, I did not do anything today. But I was so sleepy that I could not open my eyes. My head was on the table and I wanted to sleep." Although Qin Zhen was young, she was also in her 50s. When she was stern, she would scold her. "Stop looking for excuses. You caused such a big mistake and you still want to find excuses." Qin Fian pulled the agitated Jiang Zhao back. He wanted to distract him. Over the phone, Auntie Li said that sister-in-law kept vomiting and even pulled down the floor stand. "Brother, wasn't sister-in-law unconscious all this while? How can she pull down the floor stand and vomit? What's wrong with her?" Jiang Zhao rubbed his face. "I don't know." When he let go of Feng Yu, he stared at the nurse at the door of the emergency room. "What's the reason? Even if our helpers did not notice the patient's abnormality in time, you all still don't know what's wrong with her?" The nurse did not know what was going on. She was still in the emergency room and they did not know what was going on. She explained timidly. "Mayor Jiang, I don't know. It's true. I am just waiting here to inform the attending doctor or run errands to the blood bank. But from Mrs. Jiang's reaction, I feel that she should be resisting the medication." The nurse was not very experienced and she quickly told Feng Yu what she thought. Jiang Zhao immediately turned and looked at Qin Fian. Qin Fian quickly ran to the hospital and found Yi Er's ward. There were still bags of medication on the floor. Maybe they did not have time to clean up the mess earlier. Feng Yu took the list of medication from the bookshelf at the end of the bed and compared it with the medicine bottle on the table. He repeated the same thing twice and took out his phone to take a photo of the list and the medicine bag. Returning to the resuscitation room, he told Jiang Zhao about some of the abnormalities he had discovered. Jiang Zhao raised his hand and pressed against his forehead. The door of the emergency room suddenly opened, and Jiang Zhao regained his senses. He walked over and stood in front of the doctor. The doctor was wearing latex gloves, a blue disposable cap and a surgical mask. He asked coldly, "What's the reason?" The doctor looked at Jiang Zhao. "I'm not sure yet. I need to verify with the nurse on duty." "Verification? Verification of what?" "Verification of the wrong medication that caused my wife to vomit." Jiang Zhao did not say anything and grabbed the doctor's scrubs and dragged him out of the operating room. Qin Fian hugged Jiang Zhao again to stop him from hitting the doctor. "Brother, now is not the time to create trouble. We need to make sure that sister-in-law is out of danger. We will not let this matter rest so easily. But now is not the time to create trouble. Keep quiet." The hospital was afraid of medical accidents and they wanted to cover it up. But now they could not cover it up anymore. In the end they could only say, the patient was injected with papaverine hydrochloride, which can accelerate the dilation of blood vessels. This type of fluid is used to treat heart and brain diseases. Mrs. Jiang's prescription does not include this type of medicine. I am about to tell the nurse about this. Mayor Jiang, please let me speak. The doctor looked at the nurse at the door. Call the head nurse over. What Jiang Zhao had was brute force. Right now, he felt like he was a person who had been forcefully injected with some kind of evil force. He could not control this kind of power, and if he did not vent it out, he would go berserk and die a horrible death. But Qin Fian also used his strength to control him. Mayor Jiang, Mrs. Jiang is fine now. Although the wrong medication had caused her to vomit, luckily she was rescued in time. She might wake up because of her reaction. Jiang Zhao, who was being hugged by Qin Fian, was stunned. The evil energy in his body seemed to be controlled temporarily. He looked at the doctor and asked, "Is what you said true?" The doctor was frightened by Jiang Zhao's action just now, but he still had to maintain the calmness that a doctor should have. He just took a step back without leaving a trace. He was intimidated by Jiang Zhao's pressure and took another step back. Mayor Jiang, Mrs. Jiang had been injected with the wrong medication. This medication is used to dilate the blood vessels of patients with cardiovascular diseases. Using the wrong medication will cause the patient to reject the medication. But it was this rejection that caused the patient to have a strong reaction. This reaction might cause the patient to wake up. Just now, the patient could speak and her limbs were moving. This means that she is no longer in a coma. Jiang Zhao was surprised when he heard what the doctor said. He was surprised that Yi Er was going to wake up. But the more he listened, the more he felt something was not right. What was wrong? The doctor seemed to be avoiding the main point. What did rejection mean? It was like a person who did not feel anything. If he gave her an electric shock, she would jump a little. Can this be considered waking her up? Jiang Zhao was angered by the way the doctor spoke. But Qin Fian did not want to let go. Qin Fian naturally wouldn't let go. There was already a doctor inside who was being treated. If they fought at this time and hurt a doctor, it would be troublesome. But when he turned his head, he saw Qin Zhen holding her hand and looking at them with a cold face. She didn't say a word and didn't have any intention of persuading them. Qin Fian was puzzled. Was he being a busybody? Looking at his aunt's expression, she was letting Jiang Zhao to fight. Or was his aunt confident that he could handle this situation? She was like a mother who did not do anything for her son. This was her biological son. Her biological son was about to go crazy. How could she calmly stand aside and watch the show? Qin Zhen met Qin Fian's eyes, raised her chin and pouted. Let go? His aunt actually told him to let go. After releasing her, she immediately dodged to Qin Zhen's side. Without turning around, she heard the sound of a fist hitting someone's stomach from behind. She pretended not to see anything. The young nurse went to inform the head nurse. Other than the few of them, there was no one else in the corridor. Aunt, what do you mean by this? Qin Zhen sighed and glanced at her son who was hitting someone. She looked calmly at Qin Fian and said softly, Fian, you have to find a chance to let your brother vent. He is too repressed. At this time, his stomach is full of anger and dissatisfaction. If you don't let him vent, he will get sick. Qin Zhen won't say a word about it. But if Zhao Zhao wants to hit someone for no reason, I will definitely ask you to stop it. As you can see, it was caused by the hospital. It's not entirely our fault. He is now an ordinary patient's family member. His emotions should be as they are now, and he shouldn't be like how he was in the past, showing everything to others. Just now, I didn't say anything and didn't care about anything. I just wanted him to find a chance to vent. He is like a human now, don't you think? Sometimes I feel that he has chosen the wrong path to enter politics. How can anyone be as glamorous as him, to the point where no one can find any fault with him? Qin Fian only listened to the suppressed wailing behind him. He nodded and said guiltily, I should have thought of it. Qin Zhen took another look at the scene of Jiang Zhao hitting someone. She simply turned her back and chose to be parallel to Qin Fian. Looking at the other end of the corridor, she sniffed and said, I have been feeling very uncomfortable these days. Zhao Zhao wants to stay here. I can't say anything. He has to pretend that nothing happened to him to appease his family members, especially Yun Hongwei and Xijia. Yun Hongwei actually knows about Zhao Zhao's difficulties, so no matter how much pain he is in, he tries not to show it in front of Zhao Zhao. They're all crazy, they're all pretending. They even have to tell each other that it is okay. I saw it the most clearly. Yun Hongwei patted Zhao Zhao's shoulder several times and told him not to worry. Whenever he turned around, he would secretly wipe away his tears. He also has to make up lies to deceive Xijia every day. I want to find a chance for them to vent. Zhao Zhao is venting today. When he comes out, I'm afraid Yun Hongwei has already suffered internal injuries. Qin Fian stretched out his arm and put it on Qin Jin's shoulder. He was still a little worried. "Aunt, we don't care about losing money, but it won't kill anyone, right? After all, I can't control my rationality now. I don't know what's important." Unexpectedly, Qin Jin said heartlessly, "So this is the key moment to show that we are brothers. Whether or not someone dies is in your hands. Zhao Zhao is not rational, but you are." Qin Fian loosened his hand on Qin Jin's arm. *CK. Qin Jin slowly opened her handbag and took out a piece of tissue to wipe the tears from the corner of her eyes. She was very calm. "Don't rely on me. When did you start to swear? Don't you know that you can't use these second-rate words in front of your elders? I will take Shaoli to stand there for a while. You watch over him." Qin Fian took off his glasses from his face. He really wanted to smash them. How could there be an aunt like Qin Jin in this world? How could there be a mother like Yu Jing? His calmness disappeared. He hurriedly turned around and ran to pull Jiang Zhao away, forbidding him from using violence against the doctor. Qin Fian felt that he was screwed miserably by Qin Jin today. In the end, if something happened to Jiang Zhao, it would definitely be his fault as a brother for not knowing his limits. As an elder brother, his impulsiveness covered his rationality. As a younger brother, he should be clear-headed, right? As a brother, he didn't come out to help at this time. What was this? Well, in the end it was all his fault. The moral integrity of the people in the high-end private hospital was so high. When they heard that someone was fighting and crying out in pain, no one came out to help. They really respected people's privacy. However, who asked this doctor to hold back and not dare to cry out loudly? He was so angry. He had to hurry to Hong Kong and find a fortune teller. Otherwise, he didn't know how long his bad luck would last this year. After pulling Jiang Zhao back, Qin Fian could only deal with the aftermath like an old mother. He pressed the emergency bell on the wall and waited for the nurse to come and pull the injured doctor away. Jiang Zhao shook his fist. Qin Fian asked, "Have you had your fun?" "No," Jiang Zhao said. "Then I'll spar with you tonight?" Jiang Zhao rolled his eyes at Qin Fian. "Sure, if I hurt you, beauty, you will definitely take a private plane back to take revenge for you. Then she won't let me fight back. She said something about elders not being allowed to return their hands, right? What are you scheming, kid?" "Haha, so, let's go to the arena tonight to compete. I'm as free as you." Jiang Zhao's tone was unpleasant. Qin Fian could only give up. Forget it, he couldn't tease this guy. Actually, this fight didn't last long because the young nurse found the head nurse and brought him to the emergency room for only 3 minutes. When Qin Fian helped Jiang Zhao sit on the bench, the head nurse trotted over. Qin Fian and his mother were still standing far away. He thought to himself that he wouldn't fall for it this time. If the head nurse came over and Jiang Zhao blamed the head nurse for the medicinal liquid incident, it would be troublesome. How many punches could a woman take from Jiang Zhao? He should have known long ago that this aunt had always been a black-bellied person. She said such sad and tear-jerking words, but in the end she even acted as a good person. The responsibility was all on him, Qin Fian. He didn't know if there was anyone in the Qin family who was truly pure, except for Feiyu. The purest Feiyu wouldn't be like these guys. The head nurse helped the doctor stand up. She looked at Jiang Zhao's action of shaking his hand and thought about what the young nurse had said to her along the way. She immediately understood. As soon as Jiang Zhao stood up, Qin Fian immediately put his arm around his shoulder like a brother, in case Jiang Zhao really hit the head nurse. Soon, someone came over to help the injured doctor away. The doctor refused to admit that he had been hit by Jiang Zhao. Qin Fian let out a sigh of relief. It was good that the doctor knew his place. Otherwise, although it would be more troublesome to deal with later, the doctor wouldn't be able to say anything good. When Xia Qian and Qiu Xiaoya arrived, Jiang Zhao was coldly questioning the head nurse with a dark expression. "How did you manage the distribution of the medicinal liquid? How could my wife's bag be wrong?" Jiang Zhao's voice grew louder as he spoke. "You're holding a fresh life in your hands. Don't you know that you're disregarding human life by simply giving it to the patient? My wife was already unconscious, and all of you gave her the medicinal liquid meant for people with cardiovascular problems. What's wrong with that?" She was so agitated that she vomited, and her blood was flowing rapidly. Is this considered as having a reaction? All of you are trying to kill her. Mayor Jiang, please calm down. We will definitely find a solution. Furthermore, this matter has not been investigated thoroughly, and it's not right for you to jump to conclusions. The patient's condition is not good, and anything can happen. We are a hospital and our job is to save lives. But we cannot guarantee that everyone who enters the hospital will be discharged safely. But our hospital will do a report and give you a satisfactory answer. The head nurse was a little self-righteous. She also used the official tone that a hospital should have. She could have used a softer tone, but her tone and choice of words were clearly a little sharp. Besides, she also had relatives in the municipal party committee. What was she afraid of? Qin Fian held on to Jiang Zhao, whose veins were twitching. But he did not hold back Qiu Xiaoya, who had just walked over from behind. A slap landed on the head nurse's face. The head nurse immediately covered her face. This was a private hospital and anything could happen. But this woman in front of her had slapped her, and she did not dare to slap her back. Qiu Xiaoya was wearing a pair of 8-inch high heels, a short black silk skirt in winter, and a coat over it. Her fashionable black satin short hair was tucked behind her ears, revealing a charming face. Her expression was cold as she crossed her arms in front of her chest and snorted. What did you say? Who are you saying is jumping to conclusions? Even I, who had just arrived, know what happened, and you are still saying that this matter is not clear? Tell me, what should I do to make this matter clear? You said that the patient's condition is not good, so anything can happen to her? Is it normal for her to vomit after receiving the wrong medicine? Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 578. Xia Qian, come here. Tell the head nurse what she said just now. Which of those words are wrong? Which ones are not pleasant to hear? Xiaoya looked at the head nurse. Don't glare at me like that. Don't try to reason with me. I don't want to reason with you right now. If you have the guts, try and slap me back. Xiaoya didn't know why she was so angry today. Perhaps she really hoped that the head nurse would be proud enough to slap her back. She really wanted to know if that person would rush out to avenge her if she was slapped outside. What was she thinking? Qin Fian was stunned. Women were indeed impressive. Well, it was true that he couldn't let Jiang Zhao do this. Qiu Xiaoya didn't have much strength. At most, she would only leave a few fingerprints. He then looked at Xia Qian, who was standing behind Xiaoya. He suddenly thought of stinky tofu and wanted to vomit. Jiang Zhao's emotions also calmed down a little. Qin Zhen, who was watching from a distance, said to the old lady, "What a fierce girl. She's quite likable." Xia Qian, who was dressed casually, walked over to the head nurse with her phone in hand. Compared to Xiaoya's arrogance, Xia Qian appeared calm and cultured. She smiled, but she didn't want to smile at all. She couldn't smile. Just now, she happily ran to the ward to look for Yi Er, only to find the room in a mess. Ever since Yi Er's accident, she and her sister came over almost every day to check on Yi Er's condition. Although she hadn't changed for the better, at least she hadn't changed for the worse. Yi Er had told her that she used to be very good at dancing and had won a few awards. Although they had never seen Yi Er dance properly after they started hanging out, she still believed that she had the talent. So every time she came over, she would bring her some songs to listen to. However, she was afraid that Jiang Zhao would say that she was meddlesome, so she always chased Jiang Zhao out of the ward. When she was alone with Yi Er, she would put her MP3 earphones into Yi Er's ears and put one in herself. At this time, she could fully display her ability as a host. She would listen to the music while telling Yi Er a story. At which part of the music, Liang Shanbo discovered Zhuing Tai's secret? At which part Liang Shanbo died? When did he turn into a butterfly? She always felt that she had the ability to help Yi Er wake up faster. Yi Er was a lonely person. She knew that Yi Er needed friends. She had always known that Jiang Zhao did not like her in the past, but Yi Er would always protect her image in front of Jiang Zhao. Perhaps this was what friends were like. Yi Er was kidnapped and injured. Although the people outside didn't know, she still knew. As Yi Er's friend, she hoped that Yi Er would get better soon. During this period of time, she came over almost every day, but the person lying on the bed was gone. When she asked the nurse, she was told that the patient had been sent to the emergency room for a while. She was anxious and angry. She did not believe it at first. How could it be? A person who slept like a pig was sent to the emergency room. She felt that if her thoughts continued to drift, she would be so angry that she would hit someone like her sister. That wasn't very good. Hitting someone was wrong. Since someone had become the bad guy, she could only step out and be the good guy. She suddenly felt that she was very smart at critical moments. She wasn't stupid at all. She looked at the head nurse and smiled politely. "I'm sorry, my phone was recording just now. You said that you did not investigate this matter clearly. But from what we heard from Mayor Jiang, We know that your hospital had used the 4 solution for the cardiovascular patient as a nutrient solution for the unconscious Mrs. Jiang. This is the truth. If you say that this is not the truth, then Mayor Jiang is slandering your hospital. What do you think? Is Mayor Jiang telling the truth or slandering your hospital? The head nurse was stunned. She did not dare to say anything. This was a recording. Who were these people? She knew Qiu Xiaoya. She was a famous fashion designer. These few years she was very arrogant in high city. No one knew who was backing her. But who was this Xia Qian? If she admitted that this was the truth, it would mean that there was a medical malpractice in the hospital. But if she denied, it would be slandering Mayor Jiang. The head nurse felt that she was in a difficult position. You can't just listen to one side of the story. Xia Qian continued. You think that Mayor Jiang is only telling one side of the story? Are you saying that he is slandering you? He is now a patient's family member. No matter if he is questioning you, you should not reply to him with that attitude. Don't say that his wife is in trouble. Mrs. Jiang is also our friend. When she heard your explanation, she was also furious. My sister said that what you said is not right and not nice to hear. From my point of view, what you said is not right and not nice to hear. The head nurse was not afraid of Jiang Zhao earlier because she felt that she had relatives in the municipal party committee, and Jiang Zhao would not dare to do anything rash. But now these 2 girls were making her speechless. She did not know how to answer them. If she did not answer them, it would mean that she was admitting to it. No, she cannot stay here any longer. She needs to find someone who has the right to speak. She cannot bear the responsibility of spouting nonsense. The door of the emergency room was opened again. The soundproofing inside was very good. Those who wanted to go in had to ring the bell. This way the doctors could focus on saving the patient. Those who came out did not know what had happened outside. When the person saw Jiang Zhao, he pulled down his mask. It was the deputy director of the hospital. He said politely, Mayor Jiang, you are here. Mrs. Jiang's condition is good now. She has regained consciousness. But because she was given the wrong medicine, we still need to observe her for a while. I have to find out the truth about this matter. He looked at the head nurse who had finger marks on her face and frowned. The head nurse is here. Call the nurse who was on duty to give Mrs. Jiang the 4 drip to the office. Jiang Zhao walked over and did not pursue the matter of the medicine. He asked the deputy director, she's awake? Is it similar to the final radiance of the setting sun? When Xia Qian heard this, her heart skipped a beat. She looked at Xiaoya in panic. Xiaoya pulled her hand. Don't worry. Xia Qian's friend must be a cat with 9 lives. Sister, you should speak more pleasantly during this period of time. Xia Fian followed beside Jiang Zhao, who was thinking too much. He asked the deputy director, when will the situation be stable? We will send the patient back to the ward later. You can go and prepare some porridge for the patient. She can drink it today. Jiang Zhao was happy. He could not help but laugh foolishly. Finally, Yi could drink porridge. There were no other wards on this floor. It was very quiet. Sometimes it was so quiet that there were echoes. Qin Zhen heard it clearly and immediately pushed her mother. Xiaoli, hurry up and go back to prepare. Hurry up and make up for your mistake. Her mother ran away quickly. As she ran, she said excitedly, I know. The deputy director retreated again and closed the door of the emergency room. Jiang Zhao looked at Xiaoya and said gently, Xiaoya, why are you here so early today? Xiaoya smiled. Luo Chen, she insisted that she heard a very good piece of music and that she could dance a very elegant tango dance. She said that Yi likes to dance. Every time she comes over, she would play some music for Yi. It's good for Yi's recovery. The music she played before was relatively light. She had never tried the tango dance before. Maybe Yi would not be able to help but kick her feet when she heard it. She thought that since she had to come over every day, she might as well come earlier today. Who knew she would run into this? Jiang Zhao's heart ached. He reached out and patted Xia Qian's shoulder. Qian, you're so considerate. Xia Qian shrank back. She scratched her head. Jiang Zhao, don't be like this. The way you talk to me these days is so nice that it makes my hair stand on end. Do you have masochistic tendencies? Qin Fian could not help but spit. His beautiful phoenix eyes looked at Xia Qian with disdain. You feel uncomfortable just because I'm nice to you. Xia Qian sighed. If it were not for the fact that the current atmosphere was not suitable for a fight, she would have kicked Qin Feifeng. Forget it, she would not kick him. He was so beautiful. If she kicked him, it would make it seem like he did not know how to be gentle with women. Xia Qian shamelessly walked over to Qin Fian. She knew that Qin Fian was afraid of being touched by women. At least, every time she touched him, his whole body would tense up and he would be abnormally vigilant. However, the more vigilant he was, the more excited she became. With this thought, she took the opportunity to fall into his arms. She reached out and hooked her arms around Qin Fian's neck. In a coquettish voice she said, "Then be nicer to me. If you're nicer to me, maybe I won't be so creepy. I'll be flattered." Qin Fian suddenly pulled Xia Qian's hand away and took a step back. "You pervert, stay away from me." Xia Qian stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Xiaoya hurriedly ran over in her high heels to support Xia Qian. She glared at Qin Fian. "Are you a man? You bully our Qian all the time. What's wrong with leaning on you? Are you made of gold? Can't I touch you?" After scolding him, she snorted. "You're so annoying." She first scolded Qin Fian, then scolded Xia Qian in a low voice. "You can tell me what kind of man you like. At most, you'll have to spend money. I'll treat you like a master. Do you have to suffer like this? What kind of man can't you touch? Why must you touch someone like this?" The words, "Why must you touch someone like this?" were clearly hinting at something. They were full of sarcasm and contempt. Qin Fian wanted to stomp his feet, but he glanced at Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao shook his head, indicating that he shouldn't quarrel with Xiaoya. Jiang Zhao didn't realize that ever since Xiaoya and Xia Qian arrived, he had unknowingly relaxed a lot. The door to the emergency room opened for the third time. This time the bed was pushed out. He didn't notice that there were a few doctors and nurses. He just walked over, held the side of the bed and touched the woman's face. He watched her mouth open and close. When he heard what she said, he burst into laughter. He reached out and pinched the tip of the woman's nose. "Are you a pig? The doctor said you can only drink rice soup." "I want to eat meat. I vomited so much just now." Jiang Zhao didn't expect Yi Er to mumble this over and over again. Although he was a little disappointed that the first thing she asked about when she woke up was not him, he was relieved that she wanted to eat. It was good that she woke up. At least she could tell him what she was thinking. "Are you a pig? The doctor said you can only drink rice soup. Come and see." Hongcha 866. Chapter 579. After Qin Zhen asked her mother to go back to get the rice soup, she quickly walked over to Jiang Zhao. She wanted to check on Yi Er's condition, but when she saw that Jiang Zhao had completely forgotten himself, she immediately dismissed the idea of interfering. Instead, she grabbed Qin Fian's hand. Qin Fian had been following Jiang Zhao the whole time. Now that he was pulled, he snapped back to reality. Seeing that Qin Zhen was pulling him, Qin Fian took a step back. "Auntie, what's wrong?" Qin Zhen looked at her son and turned around. "Fian, later on, go and deal with the matter of today's medicine. While you're at it, send Yi Er's friend off. Yi Er has woken up, but let Jiang Zhao be alone with her for a while. I really can't bear to disturb him." Qin Fian was in a difficult position. Wasn't Auntie chasing away the visiting guests? But, although he didn't like Xia Qian, she was still Yi Er's friend. She had genuinely come to visit and even his brother had expressed his gratitude. They can understand. Now it seems that Yi Er has something to say. Let the two of them talk. The rest of us should stay away. You know that I've always been very open-minded. After Qin Zhen finished speaking, she smiled warmly at Xiaoya. Xiaoya immediately understood. "Then Auntie, please help us tell Jiang Zhao that we'll come over tomorrow." Qin Zhen's smile widened. "Thank you for your understanding." Xiaoya said, It's fine. However, Xia Qian lowered her head unhappily. How could these rich people be like this? None of them were as good as Yi Er. She had come to visit Yi Er out of goodwill, but she wasn't allowed to go to the ward. Today she had even specially brought along some good songs. Qin Fian said to Qin Zhen, "Since that's the case, you can go with me and leave later." Qin Fian, Xia Qian and Xiaoya followed them all the way to the elevator. They watched as Qin Zhen and Jiang Zhao pushed the hospital bed into the elevator and waved at them. When the elevator doors closed, Qin Fian said to Xiaoya, "Miss Chiu, I'm really sorry. My aunt didn't mean any harm." Xiaoya waved her hand. "President Qin, you don't have to be so polite. Auntie's heart aches for Jiang Zhao. Yi Er has just woken up, so we really shouldn't disturb her. There are some things that are inconvenient for people to say when we're around." She didn't mean to be polite at all. She really did think so. Looking at Jiang Zhao, he knew that they had endless things to talk about. Qin Fian clenched his fists. "Don't call me President Qin. Just call me Fian. That man with the surname Qin really suffered a loss as a boss. Once he called him that, he became an affectionate person. Ah, okay, Xiaoyu replied. Sis, are we really leaving? Ye hasn't even listened to the song that I brought. Xia Qian was still a little unwilling. She didn't hear what Qin Fian said at all. She only thought that her thoughts hadn't been verified yet and was very conflicted. You child, don't you know what it means to be a third wheel? Xiaoyu reached out and poked Xia Qian's forehead. Jiang Zhao's mother was already so old, yet she understood this principle. She even knew to send people away so that her son's hurt heart could be comforted. How could this young woman be so ignorant? Was she going backward the more she learned? Xia Qian lowered her head and rubbed the part of her head that Xiaoyu had poked. I know. Let's go. Yi is now being forced to choose the opposite sex over her humanity. I don't blame her. If Yi was awake, she definitely wouldn't do this. Even if she hid from Jiang Zhao, she would still hang out with them. Yi was very loyal. If you're good friends, you have to give them some space to be alone. Why are you blaming her? Really? Xiaoyu reached out and pressed the elevator button. While waiting for the elevator, she said to Qin Fian with fake politeness, Young Master Fian, you can go do your own things. Xia Qian and I will leave first. After all, the few times they met, they got along with each other with some hostility. She couldn't just ignore it because of a little reason. The fake politeness was also because Qin Fian expressed his goodwill first. She wouldn't call him Fian so intimately. Who asked this man to be so unfriendly to her sister every time? My aunt asked me to send you guys off, Qin Fian said. There's no need. We drove. Qin Fian wanted to sneeze but felt that it was very impolite. He took out a handkerchief from his trouser pocket. It was an exquisite English checkered handkerchief. He put it on his nose and elegantly rubbed his itchy nose. When he felt that it wasn't so itchy anymore, he put the handkerchief back into his trouser pocket and said to Xiaoyu, Then I'm sorry. He didn't have any intention to continue being polite. It was as if he was just going with the flow. Xia Qian frowned in disdain. Hypocrite. How fake was this guy to say something like that? It was just like attending a wedding. At a wedding, you send a red packet and the other party will reject it. You don't need it. You can just come. But the strength of the push was like Tai Chi. If they don't want it, then don't put the red packet into the bride and groom's pocket. If they accept it, then accept it. Why did he have to fake politeness? Oh, you really want me to send you off? Qin Fian put his hands in his trouser pockets and raised his eyebrows. His devilish face bloomed with a charming smile. At this moment, the elevator came up. He let the woman enter the elevator first and followed in. He reached out and pressed the one button. The wall in the elevator was as bright as a mirror. He looked at Xia Qian's reflection in the mirror and said with a smile, I didn't expect you to really want me to send you off. But you already said that you don't want me to send you off. Xia Qian, don't you think so? Xia Qian shrugged and deliberately raised her chin to show off her assets. She shook her beautiful hair and looked at the man in the mirror with an arrogant smile. You think too much. Although you changed your mind and wanted to send me off, I have a car. So I don't need you. You should drive your car to the various nightclubs and wait for the fierce attacks. Those are more valuable. Xia Qian felt that in front of a rich young master like Qin Fian, it was very important that she didn't have a car. She had to say it out loud. His car was a car with 4 wheels. Her car was also a car with 4 wheels. There wasn't much difference between them. Don't think that young master is so great just because he comes from a rich family. She didn't believe that his 4 wheels could be used as a rocket. Little guy. Xiaoyu chuckled. She never stopped Xia Qian from causing trouble outside because Xia Qian wouldn't cause too much trouble. She was the elder sister. An elder sister's role was to protect her younger sister. She was to protect her younger sister at all times. She even indulged and spoiled her younger sister. Xiaoyu had always been doing this. It was just that Xia Qian was very sensible and hadn't caused any trouble that she couldn't clean up. Qin Fian reached out and rubbed his eyebrows. This woman, if she wanted to ridicule him, she couldn't come up with something new. He didn't even want to talk nonsense with this kind of woman. She wasn't even as cute as the beauties in his company. He raised his wrist and turned it, revealing a pure gold watch band. He tilted his wrist inward so that the surface was facing him. The people around him could see the sparkling diamond. Qin Fian looked at the time. The elevator had just reached the 1st floor. He said, Miss and Miss, goodbye. Then he strode out. Xia Qian looked at Qin Fian's tall back and rolled her eyes. She said to Xiaoyu, Sis, look at him. I've never seen such an arrogant gay. So what if he's gay? Ah, shouldn't he be arrogant? Have you ever seen a rich young master wearing a fake watch? Shouldn't a rich young master who dares to wear a fake watch everywhere be arrogant? I don't think there's any young master in Haicheng who dares to wear a fake watch so confidently like him. Xiaoya couldn't help but look at Qin Fian's back and sigh. He clearly looks like a bottom, but look at the way he walks. He's not bashful at all. He's confident and at ease. His steps are powerful and steady. He's clearly a top. I feel like I'm falling apart when I look at him like a bottom. Xiaoya hooked her arm around Xia Qian's arm and lifted the collar of her coat. They were about to leave the hospital and there was some wind blowing in. She had to hurry to the car and turn on the air conditioner. Clothes were supposed to be beautiful and moving. If she stood in the wind for too long in the winter, she would probably only be beautiful and cold. Top or bottom? This was Xia Qian's favorite topic. She even felt that this was a topic with great academic research value. She really wanted to do an in-depth research on this topic for Qin Fian. Yeah, I think he's a top too. He's really muscular and has a great figure. She felt that her conversation had deviated a little. The topic just now was clearly more explosive. A fake watch. She turned her face in shock and looked at Xiaoya as if she had seen an alien. That's impossible. Why would a member of the Qin family wear a fake watch? He wouldn't wear a fake watch even if it cost 10 million yuan, let alone hundreds of thousands or millions of yuan. This is too embarrassing. Xia Qian was indeed very stupid most of the time, so her thoughts immediately rose to another level and reached an absolute height. She frowned and sighed. What does it mean for a rich young master from such a big family to wear a fake watch? Does it mean that a bottom like Qin Fian is a bottom who knows how to live a good life? They're both watches, but in this bottom's eyes, it's just looking at the time. No matter how expensive a watch is, it can't be used for 25 hours a day. Since it can't use the extra time, it's no different from an ordinary computer monitor or phone. So, after much consideration, Qin Fian chose a fake watch. Not only does it give him face outside, but it's also economical. The money he saves can be given to Mr. Dezong to spend. Isn't it the best of both worlds? After Xiaoya heard this, she bent her leg and kicked Xia Qian's, but in an unladylike manner. Why are you so stupid? Since when did Qin Fian become synonymous with knowing how to live a good life? Would a man who knows how to live a good life use a handkerchief that costs a few thousand yuan? Xia Qian suddenly remembered the checkered handkerchief she took from Qin Fian's pocket. It was folded neatly just like the clothes he wore. It was beautiful, neat, and clean. A handkerchief cost a few thousand yuan? God. Was his brain kicked by a donkey? It was just wiping his nose and saliva. She could ask her sister to make 100 handkerchiefs for him. It would only cost a few thousand yuan. It was too extravagant. However, if her sister could say that it was a handkerchief worth a few thousand yuan, then it must be one. She stopped in her tracks and looked at Xiaoya, who was so cold that she was about to sneeze. Isn't the handkerchief fake? Could it be that Qin Fian's outfit was fake in order to confuse the public? Nonsense, the handkerchief is real. I make clothes. Can't I tell if it's real or fake? But the handkerchief only costs a few thousand yuan. His watch costs a few million yuan. Xiaoya said, but a fake handkerchief only costs a few dozen yuan, and a fake watch costs more than 50,000 yuan. Didn't you calculate the ratio? If he really knows how to live a good life, wouldn't he be wearing a fake from head to toe? His suit costs more than 100,000 yuan, and his leather shoes are purely handmade in Italy. They cost tens of thousands. Why is he wearing a fake watch? Even a layman like me can tell after looking at it a few times. How can people in his circle not be able to tell? Sister, you're not lying to me, right? You really can tell? I really can't tell. Let alone a fake watch that costs more than 50,000 yuan, even if it's made into 5,000 yuan, I can't tell. What's the difference? Songshu 566, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.